The never will, in the history of the world, could there be a more fun job than Entourage?
Wait a minute.
My brother.
You were in the Pussy Posse, right?
Well, listen, there's no such thing as that.
Are you telling me right now you know who a murderer is and you're not saying it?
Welcome to the Kevin Clancy Show. I've been in this game over a decade, and I knew I needed a place where I could run wild on my own solo podcast, where I tell personal stories, I deep dive into conspiracy theories, we rip through the current events of the day, and we do sit-down conversations with the most interesting people on the internet. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
What's up, you mutts? It's another episode of the Kevin Clancy Show. The Spite Tour continues to roll on today. Kevin Connolly, E from Entourage, on the show with one of the best interviews I think I've ever done. Or I should just say one of the best guests I've ever had, because I didn't do anything except sit down and talk to one of the most interesting guys in the game. I think it's like over an hour and a half talking about, of course, Entourage, but his life as a child actor, life in the Pussy Posse with Leonardo DiCaprio. We get into some true crime shit. One of the best, most fascinating conversations I've had to do in my career so far, and that's exactly what I really wanted this show to be. I've said it over and over again, but when I finally get a guest who's exactly what I wanted it to be like, I gotta call it out, because this show was supposed to be more deep dive conversations, not guests who just want to come on and promote their book or their show. This guy happened to be in town, wanted to come through and just chop it up and have a good conversation, and we did exactly that. I think it's the one thing that Barstool has always been missing. Is those like good, deep dive, long form, one-on-one conversations. And the feedback I've been getting has been awesome. A lot of people telling me that like they have never seen an interview like that at Barstool before, or this is the best type of podcast that they like. It's filling the void. Like a lot of really solid feedback. So I know I'm on the right track here, especially doing it the way I'm doing it. The Spite Tour is just me booking my own guests, doing all this on my own. Fuck everybody else who won't get on board with it. And the interviews just keep getting better and better. So I thank everybody who's watching and listening and interacting. Spread the word. One thing I learned about myself here at Barstool that I don't do as well is just that self-promotion of, the amount of people that are in DMs and sending screenshots or screen recordings of their favorite clips or videos of them watching the show or wearing the merch. And I'm not good at reposting that and showing that, so I got to get better at that to show that there really is like a full, lively, like community that is always talking about the show and the products and the merch. So, long story short, this is just me thanking everybody for helping out and pushing the Kevin Clancy Show and pushing the Spite Tour and getting it to be. I mean, I think Barstool needs to have that type of show to go along with all the other franchises that are all wildly successful. The place that's like, if there's a big guest or there's a big story or a friend of the program needs to talk about something, they come here, and this is the sit-down spot to do it. So if you're watching on YouTube, and you should be watching on YouTube, because the way that our boys and girls here cut this shit is unbelievable. I got Nick, Mike, Jackie, Josh, everybody's fit. We got fucking 4 cameras running on these interviews. It's like Emmy award-winning type shit where we're live cutting and HD. I mean, it is a full-blown production now. And it's really worth it to sit down and watch the interview like it's fucking 2020. This ain't a podcast anymore. This is like a real show. So check it out on the YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below of more people that you want to see come through. It always helps if you guys tag them too. Let the guests who you want on the show, let them know that they need to come on with us. So tag us on social, leave comments on YouTube, and we can get more awesome interviews like we have with Kevin Connolly today. Before we get into that, though, I got to talk a little bit about Drake and Kanye, as this is some real hip-hop news and hip-hop stories that I can finally talk about, because I'm fucking old and none of the new music and storylines and names resonate with me, but I can talk about Drake and Ye, so we got to break it down. It's brought to you by Cast. Cast app is an app that allows you to post questions and get all the information and statistics you need on the answers. So, for instance, if I wanted to go on Cast app and post, who's the better rapper, Drake or Kanye? Who's going to win this battle, Drake or Kanye? Who's going to sell more, Donda or Certified Lover Boy? You can have everybody answer, And then from those answers, full breakdown of who, what, when, where, why. You have all the demographics, 59% male, 22% from, this country, this state, that state, ages, sex, all sorts of breakdowns on who they are and what they were answering. So you can get a better answer if you're looking for business purposes, if you're just looking to get answers to settle an argument or a debate. So whether it's just for fun or for business, Cast app allows you to share an honest opinion and get that instant snapshot of what everybody else thinks too. It creates a conversation. You can interact with everybody on the app. You're right, you're wrong, and basically creates an entire community to get all the information that you need. So download Cast, follow me. I'm on there with all my other, same as all my other handles, at KFC Barstool, and we'll be posting all sorts of questions from this show. All the votes are anonymous, so you can vote, real, without having to worry about being judged or anybody knowing what you think. So if we get into touchy things like politics or whatever, everything's anonymous. And once people vote, everything's characterized by age, gender, location. You can compare everything in real time with real results. So head over to the App Store or go to Google Play, or you can go to joincast.co and download Cast today. That's joincast.co, or search Cast in the App Store or Google Play Store. So, Drizzy and Kanye, hip-hop's Cold War. I mean, this has been kind of bubbling for a long time because these are two top dogs at the very top of the game who are very emotional, who are kind of like those fucking fish you can't put in the same bowl. Japanese fighting fish, whatever those are really called. Beta fish. Can't put them in the same bowl. That's kind of Drake and Kanye. There's only room in hip hop for one fucking sad boy, emotional, egotistical diva. Because that's what these two guys are. These are hip hop divas. Shout out to Low Key from Low Key and Kaz. He said this isn't beef. This is just two divas having a cat fight, which is a great way to put it. Because this is not like hip-hop beef. When you think about the other feuds we've seen in this world of hip-hop, it's not Biggie and Tupac, man. This is not like, gonna ignite violence. This is not the type of beef where people end up, getting physical. This is not the type of beef where people even go to, I was gonna say people don't go low, but, we saw Drake and Pusha definitely made it pretty personal and went pretty low. So we'll see where it goes, but I'm just fascinated from a business point of view, from a legacy point of view, from a new versus old point of view, and finally to see it unfold, or at least what I hope is going to be finally unfolding, because we've been doing like subtweets and Instagram posts and little subliminal messages and like wink wink comments at each other, and now Drake finally saying like straight up Ye's name, like Ye ain't changing shit for me. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's fucking go. Let's get, forget about even one line. Let's get a verse. Let's get a battle track. Let's get like head-to-head music. We've already got the albums that are going to go head-to-head. Now let's go song for song and see what happens. So if you're not familiar with everything that's going on, Drake has Certified Lover Boy, which is his next album coming out, which I think is going to be another massive commercial hit. And Kanye's got Donda, which, I mean, at this rate, I don't think Donda's going to come out until 2022. Part of the reason why Donda keeps getting pushed back, people believe, is because he wants to go head-to-head with Drake, and he wants to try to outsell Certified Lover Boy. I did a 1-minute man on this. If you're watching on YouTube, you want the quick synopsis and summary of what's going on, you can go watch that video. But basically, people in Kanye's camp have flat out said, we want to know Drake's release date because we want to go head-to-head with it when we drop Donda. And then then Drake kind of said, if you're in my way, better watch out. Kanye said, don't take my release date. A lot of like subliminal lines that have been added to their music, which is a cool thought. So like Donda got pushed back, and the second time they did a listening party for it, Kanye had changed the lyrics to one of his songs saying, move out of the way of my release date. So the thought of him being like, yo, all right, like, hang on. I thought that song was finished, but let me get back in the studio and add this one little line at Drake. Then Drake is on this Trippie Redd song, Betrayal. That was released, I think, on like August 10th or something, but the initial version that was dropped didn't have Drake's verse on it. It got pushed back. Like 24 hours later, Drake's verse is released, and a lot of people think it's because Drake went back in and added a line of his own where he said, Ye isn't changing shit, my release date is set in stone. So the thought that these guys are kind of playing like a little cat and mouse, like, all right, hang on, let me change my song. Oh, wait, then I'll go change my song. We need to just lay it all out there. I want to see Drake versus Kanye for once and for all. Let's fucking do it. And I don't think we're ever going to see it. And I think I know why. Because I think Kanye would get absolutely fucking smoked. That's right, Josh. Smoked. And you know it. You know it. No, well, yes, in both. I think Certified Lover Boy will smash his album sales. And I think if there's anything that's like head-to-head, face-to-face, song for song, Kanye, people got all up in arms when I did 1 Minute Man. I said Kanye's never been a good rapper. I don't mean like his songs are bad. I mean, he's won 1 million Grammys. He's had classic hits. But Kanye West is a producer who raps. Don't get it twisted. Kanye West has never been some lyrical genius, lyricist that blows your mind and you don't want to step to him because he's got bars and punchlines and wordplay that'll like blow your mind. Kanye West is a brilliant producer. Well, was at least. I don't care for any of his new shit. But brilliant producer who then hopped on his own songs and has some great, classic punchlines on Last Call and, Mayonnaise Benz, I Push Miracle Whips, My African American Express, the Lowry's line from Good Life. Like, there's for sure some witty, clever hip-hop in there. But when you start to make the list of all-time rappers and battle rappers and lyrics, like Kanye West is nowhere to be fucking found. And not that Drake is either, really. Like I said, these are two hip-hop divas. This is like watching, the girls fight over, you wore the same dress to the party that I did. But Drake has, in his time, can spit some bars and has gone to battle. He's dominated some battles. He's lost some battles. Whoop! Knocked over my moon man here. Check out the neon signs that hopefully we'll have on sale this Black Friday. But Drake has battled before, and he's dominated some battles. He's very famously won some battles, very famously lost some battles. And so he's battle tested. He's fucking ready for this shit. And you can talk about, like, he didn't write his own hook on a couple of these songs here or there. When it comes down to writing lyrics about somebody, Drake can pen his own rhymes, and he can do so in a nasty way. I mean, don't forget what he did to Meek Mill. And against someone like Kanye, where there is a fuck ton of ammo right now. Like, if you want to go low blow, the way that Kanye and Pusha were talking shit about 40, if they've already opened the door to making fun of, like, medical problems and shit, Kanye West's mental health on the fucking table. Kanye West's divorce and marriage on the table. All those rumors about how Drake fucked Kim on the table. You don't think that Drake has been at some Hollywood parties with like Kendall and Kylie where they're talking shit about Kanye, saying how crazy he is and how much he sucks? Like, Drake's gonna have all sorts of inside scoops on Kanye, not to mention Make America Great Again, the weird gospel, the shitty gospel music that nobody likes. I mean, drop. Even the way he's chasing Certified Lover Boy with Donda, like the way that Drake is like, I'm just dropping my album when I drop my album because I'm just gonna fucking dominate and do my thing. It just feels like Kanye is kind of like, and it's not like he's irrelevant, so I don't know why he's trying to like scrounge up this relevance, but it feels to me like he's chasing Drake and like throwing rocks at the throne of Drake when it should be more like we're equals. Or like, you're not even on my radar. I put out my album when I put my album out because Drake's not even on my fucking mind. So it feels like Kanye is the one kind of picking this fight, and I think that Drake's gonna be the one to end it. That's if we even get, the full-blown head-to-head battle. Because, Kanye 1 minute tweets out the screenshot of, I live for this, you're going to regret this. And then, like, tomorrow he could tweet out, like, God doesn't want me to feud with anybody, so, like, let's squash it and just be, like, men of God or some fucking weird shit. I mean, these guys just want to sell records, and that's what Drake does, too. It's like, Drake, like I said, he's won his battle, he's lost his battle. He does hip-hop, he does R&B. Some people think he's hard, some people think people think he's soft. He thinks he's hard. He wants commercial hits. He wants real hip-hop. He changes his styles, changes his hair, changes whatever. Doesn't matter. He's still selling out arenas. And at the end of the day, nothing stops the Drake machine. And I think even to the extent of Kanye West. And, so you know what? Fuck it. Kanye probably can't really battle. So let's just do a good old-fashioned verses. Drake, Kanye would be one of the few like hip-hop titans that could probably go song for song. You pick out Kanye's best 20, Drake's best 20, including their features, including songs that they wrote. Oh, you know what would be great? You know what would be great is if they did a verses and Drake played Father Stretch My Hands because he wrote that. Oh, that would be awesome. Like when you've got, when you're in a battle with someone and he's written lyrics for your music before, oh, that is such an upper hand. That's such an ace up the sleeve to play. So yeah, you don't have to be tough guys. You're not like raw hip hop tough guys. You don't even have to do song for song. Just get in the studio, hop on IG, go album for album, track for track. Do a 40, you could do 100 song verses between those two, and it would be hip hop mastery. And maybe that's all where this is headed to. Maybe this is all just one giant publicity stunt where they're laughing all the way to the bank. Because prior to this summer, everything seemed good. They seemed to be like back on good terms. And then it just ratcheted up through social media and subliminals and all that shit. So maybe these guys, who knows? This day and age, nothing can be real. Everything's got to be like, you got to be skeptical about every single thing, and certainly in the world of entertainment and hip hop, and these two guys who are certified businessmen, maybe this is all just one big publicity stunt, promotional stunt. But if it ends in some sort of battle, or they tagged Swiss Beats already in it and said, set it up, if you could get a Drake Kanye versus, it's one of the only, those are like there's certain guys that like, you know, the Jay-Z's, Lil Wayne's, Kanye, Drake. It's a short list, man. That's really about it, I feel like, at least from my era. I'm sure younger kids will pick out some new guys, the Young Thugs of the world, who allegedly have 60 classics, Future, all that kind of shit. But as far as like old guard hip-hop, where people have like real rhymes and like traditional rap music, those are kind of like the Mount Rushmore, I think. Am I missing anybody?
I'm astounded by the slander to throw at Future and Young Thug.
Yeah, like you know, like if Future and Young Thug, or if you're talking about like battling them, or like some of these classics where it's like, you know, they put out, you know, mixtapes with like 40 fucking songs, and I know the younger generation loves it, but it doesn't compare to like the album, like studio album classics that come from my era. You wouldn't compare like Young Thug to like Jay-Z's catalog. I mean, we went through this when $1 Million Worth of Game was talking about it, you know?
No, I wouldn't, but like I think Jay-Z is still like, I think Thug still has like a bunch of fucking bangers, and he's very, very like I don't know even how to describe it. Like he exceeds like just the rap fan base.
Well, I mean, I think he himself, didn't Young Thug say he's more of like a pop star who's like more about the vibe and the music than it is about like the lyrics and the bars? So I think it depends on what this battle is, what this versus is. Like, I think Future versus Young Thug would be a better fit than like Thug versus Jay-Z, because it's just almost, at this point, it's almost two different genres. Like old hip hop and new hip hop to me feel like entirely different music.
For sure, and then it's also like where they're from, type of rap they're doing.
Yeah, like the regional styles.
One
and
question I'd
production value.
I want to ask you is like, you said that Kanye would just like smoke. I mean, Drake would smoke Kanye, but like in album sales, I think it would be pretty even.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably getting ahead of myself just because I'm not like a huge Drake stan. I just don't like Kanye. I think Donda will sell, but I don't know, man. Drake is just a commercial monster.
The features that Kanye put on his thing is like unfair. It's like cheating. The amount of features that Kanye has on this album, it's literally cheating.
Yes, but I guess, you know, if this is like the return of Kanye to like a little bit more of like rap than this gospel shit and his weird music. Like, I feel like he took a hit with the MAGA stuff. I feel like he's been on a weird vibe that like casual rap fans or like girls who like a little bit of rap music are not going to be down with like that. Like, Drake just has...
He's pop.
He's pop, yeah. He's while maintaining like a level of rap, and we'll see what's on Certified Lover Boy. I can't imagine Certified Lover Boy being like some hard hip hop album.
I'm hoping it's like Take Care.
He's done a good job of like mixing different styles with music for men and women while putting some bars in there, while also mixing in music. He is like, if you had to script a successful music act, it's him. I shouldn't say that he'll smoke him in album sales, but I think Drake would win that battle. But I think that's the only place that Kanye could win it. I feel like if it's like hip hop, if it's Drake versus Kanye, like song for song, rhyme for rhyme, I don't think he even has a shot. But that's the game these days, and very few people in the world of entertainment see their career run from old school to new school, from young to old. And Kevin Connolly is one of those dudes who's been in Hollywood now for basically his entire life. Obviously peaking with Entourage, but been on TV and in commercials and in the Hollywood world since he was a small child. East Coast guy turned West Coast. This interview is unbelievable, man. There's a moment where I remember that Kevin Connolly is in the Pussy Posse. Like, it had escaped my mind. Thank God it popped up in my brain so that we could talk about him running around with Leo and company, just marauding the streets of Hollywood. And watching Kevin Connolly start squirming in his chair because he doesn't want to talk about the Pussy Posse was unbelievable. And, I mean, we get all the inside scoop on Entourage. We talk about his time on Unhappily Ever After when he was acting on the CW with, like, Sarah Michelle Gellar and all those superstars. And then the highlight, Kevin Connolly has solved a murder. He has like solved a true crime murder that he's not putting out. He has like a serial type podcast where they solve the crime and he hasn't put it out because he doesn't want to get murdered himself. And it's like driving me crazy. I'm texting him like, Kev, you got to tell me. I swear to God, I won't tell anyone. I'm like, wink, wink, wink. I'll tell all you guys the next fucking week. It could have been a whole separate interview, a whole separate podcast. So make sure you carve out the time. I think it's like a little over an hour and a half, so I know it's a lot, but I promise you it's worth it. Watch it on the YouTube. It's on the KFC Radio YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast now, stop. Go to KFC Radio on YouTube. It's under there. The Kevin Clancy Show playlist has all my episodes there. Watch this interview. High quality shit. Really cannot co-sign it enough. It's brought to you by Manscaped. I can't co-sign Manscaped enough because it turns me from a hairy monster into a somewhat sexable human. Like, you look at me, it's like, I don't want to put that near anything on my body. I don't want to put my face, my head, my mouth near any of that. Then Manscaped comes along, you trim it up, you put some lotions on, you put some serums on, and next thing you know, everything is smooth, smells good, looks good. Manscaped, it's, like I said, we're in the 21st century. You want to be a certified lover boy? You got to make sure you shave your bush. None of this old school shit. That's one thing where I'll get new school with it. New school, you got to get down with the grooming because otherwise you just look like a hairy beast and nobody wants that. So go to manscaped.com, use promo code Clancy. That's manscaped.com, promo code Clancy. You get 20% off plus free shipping. You can get the new lawnmower. I think we're up to 4.0. Yep, the 4.0 trimmer with the weed whacker. They've got shit to trim up your pubes. They've got the nose clipper. They got ear trimmers. They've got deodorant and revival lotions that keep your skin tight and smooth. They've got boxers that do moisture wicking so you don't get all sweaty. It's a whole system that goes from beginning to end to keep your dick and balls nice and clean for whoever it is that has the joy and the opportunity to get down with your junk. So go to manscaped.com. Promo code Clancy, 20% off plus free shipping. Let's talk to Kevin Connolly, man. We hit on Nikki Cox. We talk about the ins and outs of Entourage, the real life changes in his life, the Pussy Posse with Leo, the old days of Hollywood, the true crime story. It goes on and on, man. He a fascinating dude who just further proves my case, and we kick off the interview talking about it, that East Coast guys are just more regular-ass dudes that you can have a good conversation with. So, Kevin Connolly on The Kevin Clancy Show. Check it out. All right, let's do it. It's The Kevin Clancy Show with my man, Kevin Connolly. Good name, solid name, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I feel like what I like about you right off the bat, like, you're living in L.A. now, right?
Yeah.
But how long? When did you move out there?
I just had my 29-year anniversary in L.A.
Of
August
LA.
2nd. It was 29 years and I moved to LA, which is a long time.
So that's more years.
I've actually lived in
yeah.
LA longer than I've lived in New York,
right?
which is strange.
But when you started in New York, I feel like you're just a different kind of guy. You know what I mean? And that I feel like I can always tell East Coast guys,
right? And
it just like I immediately like click with them more. The conversation flows better, and I don't know, maybe that's in my head or maybe. That's a douchebag New Yorker thing to say, but it's not even New York. It really is just East Coast.
You know what, though, honestly, and that's true to a certain extent, but honestly, I've met some of the greatest people in the world.
In LA?
In LA.
Because
You know
I
what
also, I mean, LA just has the reputation of like, of
course, it's easy to
fucking
think
blood
that.
sucker, clout chasing, you know,
all that
shit.
All that is
yeah,
true,
it's true
as
yeah.
well. All that is true as well. But there's some really good people.
And so, and you fit in LA? You were like, I'm good out here? I mean, it's also like,
you're so young. You know what's funny
Yeah,
is I was walking up here today and I could just remember when I was, which is crazy because now, you know, parents would never let their kids do this. But I'm 13, 14 years old. I jump on the Long Island Railroad for auditions, come out of that tunnel at Penn Station and bounce around auditions all day.
I mean, never now, dude.
Way.
Like, I just let my kids out of my fucking
eyesight.
eyesight.
Are you kidding? I wouldn't let my kid anywhere near what I was doing.
Is that like, is that us being like soft, or is that just like, no, that's the right way to handle your kids, and like the world has changed and it's more dangerous now,
feels
or
different
whatever.
now, right?
But or like, you know, I don't know. We say that.
I don't know.
but
I
it's
was
like,
young. I was not mature enough to be doing what I was doing.
Yeah,
Granted, it was very
especially in
simple.
New York.
You're on the train. You get off the train. You know where you're going. You go to your audition. You get back on the train. That's really kind
but
of what
still,
it was.
man.
But yeah,
You know, you hop on, you know, Long Island Railroad, you hop on the subway. It's like that's not for children. That's a fucking.
I can remember getting robbed outside of Penn Station.
Yeah?
I was 14 years old. I got robbed.
So that's what I'm fucking talking about, man.
I got robbed without a weapon. The guy basically just said, "Give me
give
your
it to
money."
me.
I said, "Okay." And then I said to him, "Dude, I need money for the train ride home. You cannot take this."
to the robber.
Yeah, I was negotiating. I had a negotiation.
I'll give you
with him.
everything. Believe me, like $6.75
It was on.
for a
It was
train
on
ticket.
8th. It was on 8th Avenue, like behind Madison. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I need this $10 bill to buy a train ticket home. So you can't have all.
Negotiated with your
And,
mugger.
and he was like, okay,
Fair
enough. And then he ends it with, all right, be safe. I'm like, this fucking guy just robbed me.
Now you're in New
Robbed me,
York.
but he left me money to go home. And it's like, well, then people say to me, "What, he pull a knife?" I'm like, no.
No, he just had a
looked
stern
really
voice
scary.
and intimidated
He
me.
was way bigger than me. He stood over me and he
shit.
took my money and then left me a $10 bill.
That is the most like New York, but not New York thing all at the same time. Holy
It was a great
moly.
negotiation. It's one of my finer negotiations of my career.
I mean, that was it night, day?
I was dipped in
Middle of
broad
fucking-
daylight. People walking by. Nobody looked. Nobody said a word. People just.
I don't even know if
Going
that
about their
can be
business.
called like a mugging or a robbery as much as you just got bullied.
Well, not
you got bullied
that's
by
what
a
I'm
New
saying.
York
It
asshole.
definitely wasn't a mugging,
Yeah,
but he robbed me for sure because he took my money. You know, and I didn't have, whatever. I think I had like a couple of 10s, and like some singles.
Right.
Like, I was
Well, that's
literally.
what- I got robbed
I went
once
hungry on the train. I had to go home. I had to ride that train ride home hungry.
Life's hard, man. You know, you really did come up, dude. Started from the bottom.
I remember too because at that point my mom was lugging me around on auditions, and not that I didn't want her lugging me around, but I liked getting on the train. I liked it. I knew if I told her that story about the mugging, I would. Let's call it a robbery because it wasn't a mugging. I knew if I told her that story, she would pull the plug on
no
it, so
doubt.
I had to keep that one under wraps.
I got like legit mugged when I was in the Bronx at Fordham, and I was trying to keep that from my mom as well. And I remember I didn't want anybody to know anything. And then
you got mugged.
I got mugged, yeah. Right. And then, but like through the grapevine, it got back to my dad. So I go home, and my dad was like, your mother knows about what happened. And I was like, oh, fuck, she knows about the gun too? And he goes, I didn't know there was a gun involved. So,
I was going to say, I didn't know there was a gun involved
Yeah, no, I
either.
got
wow.
legit mugged. But the same sort of thing, I had like $7 in my pocket. So I was like, okay. What are you doing? Like, you were the stupidest fucking robber in the world. We're clearly dumb, drunk,
somebody
ugly,
else.
fucking poor college kids.
It's got to be a better guy to mug.
Gotta be
a better guy. But that's a mugging. Guns
that
are involved.
That was a different story, man. So wait, so you were doing the like child auditions and acting, like, so it was from Jump Street you were doing that.
You know, I've been in SAG since 1980.
Holy shit!
I mean, I think I'm aging myself, but Jimmy Carter was president when I was my first.
Holy
that's
shit!
Disturbing, but that's
Jimmy
that's
fucking Carter was
Jimmy
president.
Carter
and you
was
were
president.
SAG.
Yeah.
When you started your career, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's crazy about this shit is when you follow through on it and you do something in the entertainment business. So that means your career has been 40 years long or whatever. Like
41 years. Yeah, which is crazy. And also, I always tell people, honestly, I was doing it for years. For fun. I didn't really have any concept of like, hey, you could earn a nice living doing this. I didn't. That never dawned on me till that mugging day, where I was like, thank God I didn't have any money on me. You know, but yeah, it was later on where you go, you know, are you going to make a run at this as a career?
Really?
You know.
So when you're doing like legit SAG auditions and you know not getting parts and going,
but
through the bad shit. So you had,
but I would only do commercials because we were never going to move to LA.
Got it.
That was the agreement with my parents. Like anything.
So this was your choice.
No, I was at a wedding and a photographer. I remember thinking that I was in trouble because I assumed I broke his camera. He's like, where are your parents? And I was like,
shit,
why?
Yeah. Anybody asked where you're like,
I was at a wedding,
like,
6 years old. They're like, where? I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What's it to you? Like, and then he talked to my parents. So I started going on auditions.
Well, and he just liked your look. He was like,
I
you're
guess.
a cute kid.
I had like a bowl haircut and whatever.
Yeah, you got that look to you.
I had a bowl haircut till I was 14. I'm like, Mom, starting to take a lot of heat. I think it's time.
It's not like, you know, that had its moment. The bowl cut had its moment, man. I remember trying to argue to get one.
It was a cash machine.
And my
when you're 8, 9 years old,
man.
do it. I did 70-something commercials as a kid.
Yeah.
Had to have the bowl haircut. You're jump ahead. You got to jump on everybody else.
Yeah,
with the
like get the kid with the bowl. I mean,
and then when
my
I
mom
got
was
rid
like,
of the
no,
bowl,
I'm
I
not
had a
giving you
tail.
that stupid fucking haircut. And I was like, please, you got the tail?
That's my
you
big
had a rat tail.
That's my biggest regret.
You're goddamn right it is. Bro, you could have like killed a man one night in a drunken rage and that would still be your biggest regret.
Because of the bowl haircut that left for a good tail. So I didn't grow it out. I went from bowl haircut to epic tail. And I should have just cut the tail right from the fucking top. That's my regret.
Yeah, you should. Did that get you any gigs?
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, we need like some like white trash kid in the fucking commercial. Get that guy with the rat tail.
We really like him. Would he be willing to cut his tail? Yes, absolutely.
So wait, though. So the photographer is like, you know, this kid's got something. And then your parents are like, let's fucking go? Because I'm always curious with the parents. It's a fine line between like, you know, being a weird
super skeptical
momager, stage mom, whatever, or
super skeptical, especially my father, who was like, you know, my father was a truck driver,
right?
He's a Teamster. He's like, I don't, but you know, he immediately
Teamsters are not fucking
his
around with
mind
Hollywood.
went to the worst place. I didn't even know what he was talking about. Obviously, in hindsight, I do now, but his mind went to the worst places. But we really, I use the expression like we just basically ran out every ground ball, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
it was
I like that.
Hey, you know, this guy wants to come take pictures. My father's like, no, he's taking pictures as a kid. My mom was there, so we did.
I get what he's saying though.
Right,
you gotta
right.
Be careful about these things.
Exactly.
You know?
So, but and rules are way different now. But my mom was a hawk. I mean, they would have been better off with my dad.
Yeah, right.
My mom
was
ready was out for blood.
Dude, Rhea, who works here, told us a story about she was like 12, I want to say, and it was a female coach, but nonetheless, her acting coach said like she was doing scenes with her like to orgasm. Had a 12-year-old girl moaning and groaning, being like, if you can do this orgasm scene, you'll get this. Whatever it was, I was like,
that would not fly.
I would hope not. I hope
it
times have fucking changed.
Have flown then.
It should have never flown. But so you're doing.
But
so they agree we're gonna do it, but we're not gonna go all the way.
But it was like one. It was one step at a time. It was like, hey, so they want you to go in for this commercial audition. Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, we go in. Didn't get like the first one, but you know, I got like, and then like also, and then like at some point there was like, also they got a callback, and it's like, hey, what's a callback? It's like, well, they narrow the field down. Right? Now you're on hold. What does that mean?
Right.
Now you're on hold, and it's like, all right, you got the job. So it was never. We just kept taking the next step. But my parents, it was hard on them because they were really doing most of the work.
Absolutely, man.
Because they had to work themselves.
Man, I think about that with like my kids now, like even sports and shit. I'm like I tip my cap to like hockey parents. Like you get the
which is the
equipment
worst,
and the rink time and money. You know, same shit with like if you get into golf or you get into anything with major equipment or you gotta get a course or a rink or whatever. I'm like, I don't know. I don't like soccer, but I'm like, I don't know, here's a ball, go kick it. Like
same thing with basketball,
you know?
soccer.
Yeah, like there's always a park with a fucking hoop you go
right.
play. And that's just like sports. Committing to like a job almost, you know what I mean? You're doing like that's not just like you're playing in Little League. That's like you're talking to fucking producers and directors and agents and all that shit. You know, they got to be as prepared as you are to do any of this shit. It's like
my mom looked up to this day. My mom looked up my first manager in the Yellow Pages. That is a true story.
You are 300 years old, apparently.
Sunshine Talent. My mom's like, oh, look at this place. And by the way, the manager was with me till I like graduated high school. No joke. We found her in the Yellow Page.
Hey, it works, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there are probably people. No, there are definitely people watching this right now going like, "What are the yellow pages?" I don't even know what that means.
They don't
the
know
yellow
what that
pages.
means. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That definitely. If Jimmy Carter wasn't bad enough, the yellow pages.
So, like, wait, what was it like when you were living through the Great Depression? Did you and your family?
Exactly.
You guys
know, I
survive?
remember our first bout with the flu, with the Spanish flu of 1918.
My first pandemic.
Yeah.
Was there a big commercial or like a big get as a child that was like, oh fuck, like, I'm gonna be famous?
Well, no, but like that's basically when everybody starts talking shit. And I was pretty popular in school. I got along with, but when you're in second grade and you're on a Honey Nut Cheerios commercial with the bowl haircut, singing, by the way, which has never been my strong point, singing with like the talking to the floating bee. And the commercial.
What were you singing? Like a Honey Nut Cheerios song
it's
or some
Honey
shit?
Nut Cheerio, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Remember that jingle?
Yes.
It was a long time ago, too.
Right.
But, yeah, and then, whatever. It's like even your friends, but like, yeah, just people just been talking shit forever. Eventually you get used to it, but
I feel
that
like
was a
that
tough
would
pill to
be-
swallow in second
I
grade.
mean, I knew a kid in like 7th grade. He was in the movie Jack Frost with Michael Keaton. He played
his
like
name?
the kid. Oh, fuck.
Because it was all the same kids, right?
No, but this was much later because I was older than him, so he was younger than me. So he's, you're 100. He was probably like 15.
He's got his
so-
late
so, yeah.
80s at this point.
But, I guess he wasn't like the most popular kid in school, but we weren't talking shit either. It was like, yo, he's in a movie, fucking Michael Keaton.
Right.
It's pretty
Right.
cool,
He wasn't talking to an animated bee.
Yeah, I guess there's a difference
singing
between doing a
with
full
an
movie or
animated.
whatever. But yeah, did you have? I guess if you're not doing like full movies and shit, it was a pretty regular childhood aside from that.
Yeah, but I worked a lot. So
Right. So
I
you were
was-
like, were you missing school and events and
probably
sports?
more
and,
than more school than I should have missed.
Right.
And
right. Well, that's a bonus if you're not. Going
I
to
guess
class, like,
right in hindsight. I mean, I was
missing
never gonna-
school when you were a kid. Is the best thing in the
Right,
world.
but I can remember my mom. She used to try to get me to do my homework like in the back of the car. You ever try to? I was like, I was throwing up because I was car sick. My mom's like, you're going through that's pretty extreme to get out of reading this book. I'm like, I'm sick. And then
I'm on my way to work. I gotta do this math. I'm car sick. I'm fucking stressed at the age of 9. Leave me alone,
read in the
Mom.
car? Can you read in the
Oh
car?
no, hell no.
Right.
I can't. I can barely sit in the back seat, man.
Exactly.
It's like,
People think I just want shotgun, but I cannot be in the backseat of the car on a long ride. But yeah, so we do both, and it's funny. Like in hindsight, look back, and I would, get school ends at 2:45 or whatever. Get on the train, get in here, get home at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and
that's
I'll be
no
like,
joke.
I'm not doing my fucking homework. I'll get through it.
What age are we
I'll get
talking?
through
Like
it.
was it
7,
start?
8,
I mean, that's
9.
crazy.
Yeah.
My kid's turning
Yeah.
6, so a little bit off. Like, close though.
That's
I can't
how
even
old.
imagine.
That's how old I was when I started.
I put my kid to bed at 7 o'clock now. Like that's a lot for a kid.
The interesting thing about it was that my parents were always ready to tap out. It was so hard on them.
yeah.
They would just say it one time. But somewhere in the back of my head,
So it was driven
not-
by you? So
Yeah.
this photographer comes up to you and tells you, and they're down. But like, who's the real driving force here? You being like,
well,
I
it was
want to
like,
do this.
well,
is
let's
my
just
dream.
see what this is.
Like you said, ground
let's
balls,
just see
right?
what it is.
Yeah,
Just running
yeah.
it out, right?
Right.
And then I can remember the first time, whatever it was, like a traffic jam, a tunnel shut, just like a
nightmare
5-hour
of it.
trip back
Yeah.
out to Long Island.
Right.
And I can just remember my mom and dad being like, just don't
you said
even
the
say
word,
it, just wink.
Yeah.
And it's over. But at some point, I knew I was doing something different than everybody else was
Yeah,
in school.
right.
And even though
But even at a young age, you kind of have like a feeling there's
like,
something
I'm
different.
not ready. Like, yeah, I'm mad about that traffic jam, but I'm not ready to walk away altogether.
That's interesting, knowing that you went on to have like the successful career, but then even more so what you're doing now, where you're kind of like producing and managing and running a network. It sounds silly, but maybe even at the early age of like 9 or 10, you kind of had that vision of like, this is going to work out, or business-wise, or
I just didn't want to do
success-wise,
anything
like,
so
so you
traditional.
knew-
I knew at an early age
Yeah.
that like, but also, if I had to do it over again, I probably would have gone, at least attempted to go to college. That would be my, and it sounds weird, but like, or like a cliche.
What's
but
your regret
I
on
don't
that
know.
front?
I mean, I got lucky.
Yeah.
But I could have not gotten lucky,
Yeah,
and then
for
I
sure.
would have been like, "What the fuck," right?
But yeah. But like,
I wouldn't recommend it when people say, "What do you think? Should I move?" I would say, "Well, I don't know that you should abandon everything in your life
Right.
and like move out to LA. It's just a risky move."
I
It's
even
tough.
had it here with guys, Robbie Fox, Glenny Balls, Rhea, a couple other people who were 18, and or came here to intern when they were in college and got some success, and they were like, fuck it, we're just gonna. And I was like, you know, this is probably like 5 years ago. I remember like the dad in me being like, I really feel like you should finish school.
Right.
Now, I'm like, fuck it, yeah. But those are people who like, they got the job.
Right.
You know, they weren't just like, I'm gonna go out there with my last 2 pennies and try to make it. It was like, you know, Robbie, you can have this job if you want it. So what's the point of fucking spending all the money and going through all the time? Because the 4 years you spend, you know,
it
building
doesn't
your
equal a
follower.
job.
Right.
Right. You know, like
very
again,
clearly. I mean, more often than not, it equals just debt, and you're a little bit older. You know.
Let's make this whole interview about how old I am. But I was.
Did student loans exist when you were?
I feel like my kind of generation was the last of, like, I graduated high school in '92. If you graduated in '92 and you did your 4 years in college, you probably got a job.
Yeah, and probably like a pretty good one.
A decent one, depending on how good you were or whatever you did. And then in
Right.
around 2000, 2001, you get to college and you get out, and what you have is $120,000.
That's it.
in
There was a
student
very
loans.
small window, I feel like college went from like a luxury
Right.
to almost like a, come on, if you don't go to college, you're like, you know,
There's something
you're a
wrong.
dummy, you know, whatever, something like that. And then there was a brief window of like, yeah, you go, you get your job, it's worth it, it works.
It pays off. You pay your student loans up because you're going to get a great job, and that went out.
And
the
that
window.
was like
Yeah.
maybe like, it feels like maybe a 10-year run. And then also what came in was like, because of the internet, because of technology, it was like, there's just a better route to go.
Right.
And then forget about once like the recession of like, oh wait, and all that shit. Now it's like, it's crazy. Now,
Right.
now it feels like a bad investment. You know, it's, to me, they need to like overhaul the whole fucking college system. But
Unless you're really unless you're
if
going to
you
be
know
a doctor
exactly
or
what,
you're going
yes,
to be a
if you have
lawyer.
that's why I think like trade school or something like that makes more
Learn how to do
sense, you know?
something, right.
And even like in college, there should be a class like, I don't know, you learn how to fucking do some plumbing, you learn how to do some fucking electrical work, like
or
something
how about
tangible.
basic computer skills?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. There should be.
I've always
they
wanted
should
to-
teach Pro Tools.
Yeah, right.
And
Like
all that
like
kind of-
right now,
Right.
learning some of this shit, the basic. Like I think of learning like you learned the basics of a language back then. Now it's like why don't you learn the basics of like technology, the
I
basics of
do
the internet,
wish
the
I paid
basics of-
attention in Spanish class a little bit.
Yeah,
Honestly, of everything else.
So you think Spanish would be
Well,
the most,
yeah,
most,
my girlfriends,
useful?
they're speaking Spanish around me all day long, and I'm convinced they're talking.
So
about
you're
me.
just like the Mick who's sitting
I'm
there
just
like,
sitting there what'd she say? She talking shit? She
How long
talking
you
about
been
me?
with
Years.
Yeah,
years.
so you haven't picked up at all?
Well, you can hear things. You hear things. I don't. It's all about getting
Puta, what?
confident.
What?
It's
Like,
all,
yeah,
it's
I
all
know
about
that word.
getting confident in speaking back to them in Spanish.
That's
right?
not, dude. I feel like, speaking back to your woman's hard enough as it is.
Right,
let alone
right,
when they're
right.
fucking Spanish and they're snapping at you. And
But if you try to talk to like somebody in her family, I feel like that sounds patronizing.
Yeah.
I'm like, hola, or something
right,
like.
right.
I'm like, did
Me
that
amo
sound
Kevin.
weird?
It's
She's
like when you try to speak to.
She's like,
speak back
hi.
to the waitress.
You said hi.
Yeah,
I don't think that
yeah.
sounded weird at all. I'm like, oh, okay. So
You get in your own
you
head
get
about
comfortable with trying to.
Right. So when does when do we switch from like commercials to like I got a role, I'm acting, I'm making it.
Rocky V.
Rocky V.
Rocky V.
What was your role in that? What was Rocky
I
V?
beat up Rocky's kid.
Yeah.
By the way, mullet, full effect. I mean, that mullet.
Let's pull
that
this up. I
mullet
wanna
is
see
one.
this.
That mullet is one for the books.
That is
So
beautiful.
and that I grew for the movie.
You're like a meth. You and Daniel Day-Lewis, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because I've had, obviously Entourage was I don't want to call it.
What's Entourage?
I don't want to say it was a slow burn, but it was, when I got the call that I got this role in Rocky V, it was the closest thing to euphoric that I've ever
I'm
felt.
sure,
It's a
dude.
big
Rocky
deal.
is like, that.
Of course, it's the worst Rocky. It's considered the worst Rocky.
Well,
of all time,
sure,
but I'm still part of the franchise.
Like that's what you just say. I was in the Rocky franchise.
part
You
of
don't
the
have to
franchise.
specify
Right,
five.
exactly, exactly.
At least it's not Balboa. Rocky Balboa was
Which
maybe
one we went
worse.
later on.
Yeah,
I was in one of the later ones, but it was Tommy Morrison, and it was such a big movie, and it was
I was gonna say because maybe it doesn't hold up, but at the time.
it was a big
It was
deal.
a big fucking
it was
deal.
a big
and
deal.
Like the way
I
it
beat
mirrored
out a lot
reality and
beat out a lot of kids for that role.
So that was when it's like, all right, I'm an actor now.
Well, yeah, or that was when I was thinking. That's when thoughts of like moving to LA, and at that point I was probably 9th grade, maybe 10th grade, and that's when I started thinking about, all right, well, do I want to make that move?
And all the while, like, good relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
You have siblings.
Yeah.
Like, normal family, just
is
only thing is
super
this.
super normal. My brother's a cop. as a detective. You
See,
know,
that's
just-
what I'm.
yeah.
Maybe it's more like I characterize it as East Coast. Maybe it's not just geographic. It's just about maybe your family or who you
Super
are.
blue collar.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think that's what matters. That like, I bet you go out to L.A. and you start to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, and you got a brother back home who's a cop who fucking cracks the whip, puts you in your place. Like, shut up, pussy boy. You know what I
Real
mean?
hard on me with the cop. And he used to be a corrections officer, which was even worse.
fuck.
I'm like, I'm not an inmate. I'm your brother. Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah. But yeah, the minute you come home drinking like a chai tea or I don't know, whatever, it's like, all right, pussy, remember where you came from,
When we
pal.
go out to dinner, he's like rolls his eyes at everything that
but
I order.
But
Like,
like that matters.
Is that gluten free?
If like you need that eye roll, you need that like
Totally.
busting your balls to keep you in check because that's how you start to like you lose yourself and you become like a Hollywood.
Yeah,
prick.
and I was the youngest.
Okay.
So
How many are there?
I had an older brother, older sister, and,
Okay.
but I feel there was a conscious effort to do that to me. In hindsight, you look
And I'm
back
sure you hated
and
it.
it wasn't crazy.
No,
it wasn't
but
anything
I'm sure
crazy,
some people were
but-
annoyed by it or whatever.
Well, yeah, they just went out of their way to make sure, like, I can remember a couple things. My father was, if I ever hear you say that again.
What did you say?
Well,
You
I was
remember
like,
anything
I might
specific?
have been under the gun, like, and by the way, that was in 4th grade or 5th grade or something. And I was like taking some heat, and I made a comment about like having a job and like making money, and when that did not go over well with the.
Like that's the
He
last
said-
fucking
he said,
time you'll
"If
say
I
that.
ever hear the word money come out of your mouth again.
So you were talking to him like I make the money
No,
here?
no,
Like,
I said
so
something
you
to a kid in
just-
school.
Got it. See, that's the fact though that you can recall that exact.
I can tell you, I
instance
never
at the age
mentioned
of what?
money again.
You're,
It's the last time I ever. I didn't even know what I was talking about.
Right.
I was defending myself.
But still.
I was backed into a corner, and I
Yeah.
didn't know what else to say. They were making fun of me.
Like at the age of 104 here, you
Four,
still
yeah, I
remember that
still
moment.
remember that 100 years ago.
That tells you though that like the fact that that's burned in your brain, it worked, and that's an important one because you
Yeah.
don't want to be you could be 100% right by the way, like that bully, whatever's saying.
I
In
could have
fact,
said something else,
but that is the douchiest thing you can do growing up, and so you
and
knew it, and that was it.
Being in, believe me, that was the last time. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's the last time I ever mentioned money. And he also, later on, he said, it's in poor taste.
Yes.
It's just in poor taste.
It's probably right.
to
It's
discuss
true.
money.
It's,
There's
a
you have
fact.
no
no
business
doubt,
talking
but
about that.
That's
you
like
know?
pulling the like, do you know who I am? When you get pulled over, or
Right,
the bouncer, like
which I've never done.
You can't never do that.
That will never go well for you.
No, just fucking.
And that's how
Just-
you always know when you can catch somebody when somebody's like, oh, yeah, well, he came in and he pulled the, I'm like, no, you just lied.
Yeah.
Because I've never
It
said
does
that.
not work.
I know for 100% fact that you made that up because I've never, ever
And
one time
everything's
said that.
filmed now. You're on camera. Like
Right.
I think it's Bert Kreischer who he says he like practices for his DUI, where he's like, you just fucking take it. You just say like, yep. I like officer, sir, have you been drinking tonight? Yes, I have.
Right.
How many? He's like, maybe downplay that a little bit, but yeah, I am inebriated right now. I'm
Say,
sorry.
Absolutely not.
I mean that, especially once you've got a.
Absolutely not. I'm offended at the question that you would ask me.
How
Do
could
you know who I am?
Insinuate.
Do you know who I am?
But I mean, that's how you end up on TMZ when your fucking DUI video gets out and you were, do you know who I am-ing? And it's
Yeah.
like, now you're known as the asshole forever.
TMZ, man, I remember when there was no TMZ.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. And I remember when TMZ was kind of like the National Enquirer, like a joke, like a tabloid joke. And then it became like, now we
Harvey-
say around here,
Harvey
when
don't
news
mess around.
breaks, like
When he confirms
when
it,
TMZ says it, then I'll believe
it's
it, which
confirmed.
it used to be the total opposite.
They confirmed Michael Jackson being dead 2 hours before CNN.
They knew before fucking Michael Jackson. I mean, they are the definitive source, and that's why they kind of dropped the ball on Free Britney shit the other day. You see that? They ran that like it was like he's stepping down, and they're not wrong because it was
Right.
like he intends to step down. But that was the first time in a long time that I was like, oh, come on, TMZ. Usually it's fucking rock solid.
You have to build the relationship, as crazy as it sounds, with TMZ.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right? Because
That's why Kris Jenner and the Kardashians run the world, right?
but none of that, because I'll try to tell people, it's like, listen, man, I remember there was something, whatever, on TMZ. My brother's like, I thought you were friends with those guys. I'm like, friends with
No,
those guys?
there ain't
Are
no
you
friends.
There ain't no friends in this, you know what I
there's
mean?
no friends in this business,
no, there's
period, let alone with
negotiations,
TMZ.
right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's going to benefit them, then
How much of that goes on in Hollywood? Like, how much of when you see,
I
coming
always
out
try
of
to be nice to them because
Sure.
A, they're doing their job.
Right.
Right. and it's not going to help you.
Again, it's like the
Get
DUI
that fucking
thing. To be
camera
an
out of my
asshole.
face, you're gonna be an
Yes,
asshole. You
yeah.
try to answer their questions. I usually try to keep it moving. But they also know where you work and where you hang out. So if they want to get you,
They're gonna get you.
they're gonna get you.
How many people do you think use them like, yo, I'm gonna be at like Nobu tonight. Like I want to be on.
Way more than you would
Yeah.
ever
Really.
expect. And I honestly was surprised at that.
Yeah, because that seems like
It's hard to wrap
fucking
your head around, and it's
ever.
a lame thing to do to other people that may not want to be in.
For sure.
May want to do that, you know.
That
they
is
they burnt
the
me
lamest.
recently, but I'll let me sell this thing with this florist that happened. But
What happened?
so they made it look like my car got towed from a florist parking lot. And I
Boy,
went in,
Kevin Connolly down bad.
and I
Getting
went
repoed.
in, and I had words with the owner, right?
Okay.
And there's the security.
Of like
footage.
the florist or the tow truck?
Florist.
Okay.
Well, he wouldn't tell
It's
me
not
what
the-
he wouldn't tell me where the car was. I was like, "Hey, man, can you just give me a number? Where's the car going? It's
right.
fine. The car's gone."
Right.
But long story short, he and I end up getting into it. They never show his camera angle, right? It's just me walking
course.
out, and there was a box holding open the door. And on the way out, I kicked the box
Yeah!
just to try to get the door to close.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to help
but
you out here. Let me close the door. for you.
TMZ cut 3 different angles of the same shot, so it looks like I
Kick it. That's fucking
kicking the box.
great.
I'm like, I kicked the box one time, and by the way, the box didn't move. I'm like, damn, that was a heavy box. but people, it's funny because and then the story is, meltdown.
Absolutely.
Connolly has meltdown in the florist.
Absolutely.
But the
and
truth
then the
is,
speculation comes. He's on drugs. He
No.
used to go to rehab.
Speaking of Craig Carton, I got a text from Carton. He's like, "You good?" I'm like, "In regards to what?" He's like, "Oh, I saw the." Well, I'm
the
like, Craig,
anger
I promise.
outburst,
I promise I'm not having some kind of a mental breakdown.
You'll be in a conservatorship next, bro.
So the point is that they were my next door neighbor. Okay, the florist is next
Okay.
door to our studio.
Okay, got it.
And they're building these tent cities, right?
Right.
So they were going out of business, and I was inquiring about what are we going to do about this parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? I never parked there. I parked there I was there for an hour, and they towed
And
my
they got
car.
done.
Now, in hindsight, I go, what's my part in this? And what happened was, and it's true, they're going out of business, and I'm in there asking them about their
Sure,
parking
they're like,
lot.
fuck you.
Right, and that was kind of inconsiderate of me. I didn't mean it that way.
Right, of
That
course
wasn't
not,
my
of course
intention.
not.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, listen, but I know you're on your way out. But what are you gonna do with those shoes? You're not, you're not gonna get
Do you
buried
mind
in
if I
those
take,
shoes.
can
are
I
you?
take this off your dead cold body
Listen,
when you're
look,
gone?
when it happens, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have dibs on the shoes, right? And that, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, that was an asshole move, but that wasn't my.
No,
that
of course
was not
not.
my
You're not
intention.
thinking that way, yeah.
But it was a neighborly spat, a neighborly
Right.
dispute. They made it sound like I just was in some random florist. And they made me look like I kicked the box 3 times that I didn't kick the box. And he also yelled at me.
You're never gonna hear that because they don't know you're Kevin Connolly. They don't know the florist owner.
The florist, he threw me under the bus. And by the way, if I showed you a picture of what that parking lot looks like now, it's scary.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's
is
the
a
scene
tent.
out there now.
I'm like, I don't blame them. They got
like
running
Hooverville.
water.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
know.
like they've running.
Dude, there was a guy. I mean, we don't do the tent city. They're just they
They're
live
just
here.
everywhere,
Yeah. There was some dude who I mean, he must have not been like fully homeless because he wired like a tube to carry air conditioning into his like tent. And I think you could see like a little TV on through the fucking like tarp.
Did you see the clip of the guy in LA? He's welding his flat screen. He's got a flat screen in the tent, and he has a welding gun, and he's welding it like what's he welding it to? And he's got a bigger
How do you
flat
even have a
screen than I
TV?
do.
How do you have a
And
welding gun? How do you know how to weld?
Where's he running the cable to? What is? I'm like, it's a very underrated viral clip.
That
it's
is
around
hilarious.
somewhere. You gotta check it
Yeah.
out. You know?
I mean, it's crazy when there are guys on the street now with iPhones. It's like, fuck, you have service. You're paying your monthly bill. What's happening here?
Right. And then,
it's a weird world.
but if then it becomes a point of because you feel bad, right? People
Yeah,
don't
of
want
course.
anybody to
It's
be
like, I
homeless,
don't
of
want
course.
this.
You
I'd
feel
love to
bad.
help out.
But you have employees. There's like women in the office coming in and out of there, and it's dangerous.
Yeah,
It's just downright dangerous.
I also, for me, I remember thinking like, I gave $1 to like everybody I passed on the street. Like I felt so bad, and then I got burned a couple times by like scam artists who like, I remember my dad got the same way that I got. So it's been going on for years where, I gave the guy, who's a veteran and the same story, and I gave him like $10. I gave him like a lot. And the guy outside the building that I was going into was like, oh, like Tony gotcha, huh? Like, oh, he's been running this racket for like 10 years. Fuck. So that happens. Then I had a guy who, usually they bump into you and drop like their bottle of liquor and it breaks and they make you pay for that.
I haven't had that one happen. That's
that.
a good one though.
Yeah.
I should have tried that day when I got robbed.
Well, I was gonna say it's the same thing. Those guys, they just intimidate you.
Right.
He was just like, "What the fuck are you gonna do about this?" You
my
broke my shit.
My fireball is all over the street.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, fine. Let me go buy you a fucking handle.
Right.
And then those couple things like that happen, and then eventually you're like, all right, fuck.
Yeah, I got burned a few times trying to be a good Samaritan.
The lesson. Don't be a good person.
Yeah, right. This guy was like, he was in a wheelchair, and he got his whole big story about he get kicked out of his hotel. So my girlfriend and I at the time, we ended up driving down. I'm like, I'm not going to drive you there. I'll meet you there. So I don't know how he got there.
Yeah,
Whatever it is. Well, I know he got there now, but get down and I paid for 5 days for his room, and it was like
holy shit,
$160 or something.
Okay.
Like that. But I remember it was a paparazzi. This is before TMZ was like, "Hey man, you're a great guy, and it matters." But that guy walks fine. I was like, I said, "You're fucking kidding me." He's like, "Oh no, he walks. He walks. He's like, he walks as good as you. He walks." That's the thing. I was like, man. He's like, "But don't be down." That was a nice thing.
You still get credit. The thought that counts.
You did it.
Don't get me wrong. You're a fucking idiot and a sucker, but
you got burnt by a guy's not even that good, and he burnt you. But you tried to do the right thing.
Man, that is funny shit. All right, so when does Unhappily Ever After take off?
Okay, take off.
Because brother,
well,
you might laugh, but to me and a couple of my friends and like that generation, that show was important, man.
Well, let me say this too about, the most important job I ever got in LA was Unhappily Ever After.
Really?
Because it bridged the gap to Entourage,
Yeah,
right? So from 95, we did 100 episodes of that.
I was gonna say, that's why, why are you laughing at Take Off, man?
Well,
100 episodes of any TV show is a big fucking
point
deal.
is that it kept me
employed,
comfortable, with a roof over my head, and I had some money in the bank, and I wasn't worried about that, and that bridged the gap.
What
to
age
Entourage.
to what age is that?
I want to say 20 to 24, 25 it was.
Yeah.
But funny story because Nikki Cox, who was played my sister on the show, she was my girlfriend, and then in season 5 she left me for Bobcat Goldthwait, the stuffed rabbit, right? So how's that for a little twist to the old Unhappily Ever After? So we did season 5 like together, like all of us.
Yeah.
They were together. I mean, it was a nightmare.
That is a story.
Pretty wild, right? Pretty wild. And,
Bro,
and this is before, it's funny too because now, right, that's an online thing. I can remember getting a call from a friend of mine, and this is a bad call to get, right? Dude, get in the car and go to 7-Eleven and pick up the Enquirer.
Oh no.
Right now. That's what I said. Oh no. And I remember like with lump in my throat.
Yeah.
Fucking standing in 7-Eleven and boom, there it was in the National Enquirer, which was the big one at the time. But I was devastated, right?
Yeah.
Now I got to go to work with these people, and it's like you got to be professional.
I was gonna say the show goes on.
Oh God.
I mean she was a bombshell.
Yeah.
Man. That must have been.
It was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. How long were you guys together?
4 years or whatever.
So I mean, I always wonder.
Then I dyed my hair blonde. I mean, then I had a complete.
Yeah, you had a moment.
I dyed my hair
there.
blonde. Like you look back on things, and you're like, I don't know what I was thinking.
I often think, like, what am I doing right now
that you're gonna
that I'm
regret?
gonna because you're doing something.
Something.
Right now, I feel like I look normal, I dress normal, my hair's normal, my act, everything.
Right.
And I'm gonna look back and be like, can you believe I was doing that when I was 36?
Why would I wear that shirt? Why would I wear that shirt?
Absolutely. So wait, so did you start dating her like right away? Was it like a quick thing?
I mean, we met on the show, and that was the first time I was ever like I was just,
Yeah, I mean,
in love.
I don't think anybody in the world could blame you for
Right,
that.
and
at
then
that time.
that first time you get heartbroken like that, right? You don't know, so you think like, oh my God, I'm dying.
Yeah, this is it.
I'm
like
gonna die.
I'm not gonna
die.
survive.
Right.
Yeah, I got to quit
3
this job.
heartbreaks
I gotta
later,
go
you're
to-
like, I'll get
this
over
is
it.
the
This
same
is whatever.
shit.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It hurts for a
yeah.
while, and eventually
Right.
starts to get better. But that
Right.
first time that happens, man.
Was it like you were like dating and she went right to Bobcat? Was
Yeah.
it like you
Yeah,
broke
yeah,
up
no,
and
there
it was
was.
like,
By the way,
on Tuesday you're dating, on Wednesday she's with him?
Or on Monday she was with him.
Yeah. Oh, well, right. I mean, obviously there's
The
some overlap. with
following said that
man, to get
little too close to call. I gotta say that there
you're
was
sitting
some
there doing the
overlap.
math, like
It's
Monday,
like,
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wait a second.
yeah, there might have been some.
You weren't on vacation that time,
But more than anything, it was humiliating. as
Yeah.
well, right. And
Yeah,
I can remember
that's-
my mom said to me, which is a great question: would it have been easier if it were Brad Pitt? And I thought, I guess not, right?
I know what she's trying to say, but yeah, man, I think it would be.
It'd be easier. If it's Pitt, you go, okay. Well, what are you gonna do?
I
It's
think
Pitt.
so. I think getting beat out by Bobcats a little
You're
bit different
like,
than
how
getting beat
can
out by
I
Brad
do-
Pitt.
Right.
Like Brad, I think in the moment, if you're head over heels, of course you're not thinking this, but I think part of me would be like, tip my cap, understand. If you got a chance at Brad Pitt,
Right.
you got to take that chance.
I would have left her for Aniston in a second.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Man, that is.
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, it's fun. It's fine now. Like he and I, I've run into him a few times.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
talked about
It's like,
it.
hey man, remember that
He
time
actually
you totally fucked me over?
Right. No, he actually apologized. I was like, oh, that was
Did he?
nice. Yeah,
Yeah, that's something.
Listen, sometimes a shit happens apology, which is kind of what it was.
Yeah.
Matters, right?
Especially in that town, this industry, that business, it
like-
kind of does. Like, the same way that you started dating her and got caught up in it. It's
Right.
Like, I don't know, so did fucking we, man. Like,
Yeah,
let's tell you.
pretty much what he said. He said,
How often do you think that happens?
well, it's funny because he said, well, again, I don't even know if this meant anything, but he said, listen, for whatever it's worth, I would never do that to anybody again. And I was like, all right.
So
okay, I wish I was the next guy, right? I mean, like, it should have been. Yeah,
Oh, so
I wish
you're
you would have
one
done it to
victim.
somebody.
I'm the
Right.
one guy you decided to
so
crush.
the buck stops here. I haven't eaten in 4 days. What are you talking about?
That's
No,
like,
I did-
I
my-
mean, yeah, like, listen, that
my
guy
friends-
I murdered, I promise you I'll never do that again to any other family.
My
Mom.
friends were doing welfare checks on me. I was like under the covers,
man.
and like you'd get the knock on the door, and I would like freeze, right? And then you hear on the side windows, and then
They're
they're fucking
here.
knocking.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, what? I'm fine.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I'm alive.
I'm alive. I can do
Just
anything
go.
stupid. Get out of here. I'll
Yeah.
promise I'll be around next week.
I mean, I can't blame you though, because like Nikki Cox was like for our generation. That was Married with Children, just for
Right. Well, it was the same guy.
later. Yeah,
It was the same
I mean,
guy.
and it's the same blueprint with a fucking floppy rabbit.
Yeah, which was
I
weird.
can't believe the rabbit ended up fucking you, man.
Yeah. Well, and that,
'Cause that
and
rabbit was like, yeah, this funny, quirky, weird thing, and then you were
Yeah.
probably like, fuck that rabbit, man.
Right, like anybody else but the rabbit.
I know, and the fact that Bobcat's voice is so, picturing him having like that apology and talking to you in
Well,
that
his voice is-
I know, but thinking of it
Thank
that
God
way,
he didn't
like,
apologize
yeah.
to me in the voice. I
never
don't think
do
I
it
could
again.
have. I don't think I could have handled that. But,
As a person who has never been on a set of any kind, I always think like they're fucking, or they're dating, or they're at least feeling feelings for each other, and they're not acting on it.
it's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea, but it's
it-
also like a totally natural thing that's gonna happen like every single time. I feel
Feelings
like.
don't ask permission.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
And-
when it happens, it happens. But
I
you know
feel like
it's bad.
the professionals are not people who like don't catch feelings. They're just people who don't act on it and they put it like at
Right.
bay. Because I feel like if you're the lead role, male, female, you're kissing, you're making out, you're doing love scenes, you're on set for like 8 months in a row. Like,
But also,
just,
it's different between TV and movies, right?
Yeah.
So if a movie's 4 months, you
And then
go,
that's it.
well, whatever. We're not gonna. Chances are, it's not gonna go horribly
Yeah.
south. But
We'll have
I
a
mean,
fling and
I
then be
think
gone
Dawson's
and-
Creek had some
oh, well,
weird.
sure, man.
No, like I think it was like Katie. It was like something like crazy happened like early on, and then they got to spend 5 years
Yeah, I
like
bet,
looking.
man.
Yeah, that was-
I know on Saved by the Bell, Mark Paul Gosselaar was telling me it was like everybody dated everybody at one point. Like,
Is that
full,
shit? Did
yeah,
he-
full-blown relationships that.
that's disturbing. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
really?
like they all dated each other, but that makes sense. You get like young, good-looking people on the set, and you're there, day in day out for a
Yeah,
few
and
years.
you're in
if you have
school.
a good run.
That's the other thing
Yeah.
too. Oh, by the way, you want to talk about the biggest joke of all time is set school. I mean,
What is
'cause
that?
You have to log hours, right? So you have to do a certain amount of hours in the week in school.
To like for like a SAG thing, like you have to like.
Yeah, you have to go to school,
right?
Right? Like if you're on a TV show,
they have, but like they have their own teachers and shit.
You go to a trailer with
Get
like a
the
set
fuck
teacher.
out of here, because otherwise, what you're not allowed to take a child out of schooling for work.
You have
so
to
you
do
have to
X amount of hours, whether it's 3 hours a day, or so you would have to do 15 hours a week. So you'd have to do bank hours, like. All right, let's bank a couple hours. But what I would do is I would get a copy of The Shining, which I had read like 10 times, and I would just keep reading it. When they quizzed me, I knew all the answers. I read one book. I'm bullshitting my way through school.
Hey man, fake it till you make it. I love it, dude. That's the New York hustle in you. Like
it just felt fake. It's almost like this isn't school.
They're just doing this to check the box so that you can go, exploit you for money as a child actor.
Totally, exactly.
But that at that point, are you like? Does that make you rich? Does that make you comfortable? Are you famous now? Is it like, holy shit, I go places, I get mobbed, other girls are throwing themselves at me?
I wouldn't say mobbed, but like there was definitely a visibility. But the visibility, you're known for your last job, right? So it's like, now I can remember going and to read for this other show, and the casting director stopping me and saying, "Are we mentioning Unhappily Ever After?" And I was like, well, based on probably not. Based
on that right there. Based on you talking like it's a fucking scarlet letter, like I'm a leper. Yeah, let's keep, are we mentioning that you have herpes? It's like Michael Scott.
Clearly
not. How can we say Mexican? Is there another way to say that? That is unbelievable.
So it was like tough to, kind of almost like tough to shake that, right? And that's the thing. What people ask too about Entourage, like about being typecast and like all this sort of stuff. And the thing is, you get a little bit older, and it's like, like I think I would speak for most of the cast that we're totally fine with it. I mean, it's.
I would hope.
Right.
I would hope.
I guess that's my point.
It's
It's nothing
questions.
that believe me, when I walk down the street and the thing, just like tell Sloan I said what up.
Yeah,
I want to go, dude. Come on, bro. He's clearly have seen the show. There's got to be another line.
Yes,
There's got to be something else you can throw at me. Like,
anything.
There's like
original.
5 lines.
You can be annoying, but at least be original about it.
Right, exactly. Come on, dig deeper, bro. Watch something else.
Right,
So,
give a deep cut.
So, but yeah, it's something to be proud of, and it's you spend your whole career trying to get there.
Yes.
So to turn your back on
insane.
it, to turn your back on it when it happens, doesn't make any sense.
It's one of my questions. Anytime I interview anybody who's got like an iconic role, I ask like, do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you resent it? Do you embrace it? And more often than not, almost 100% of the time, if it's someone who I like and respect and think is cool, they embrace it. And people who I turn, through the interview, I learned maybe not the coolest of people. They're the ones who like resent it, hate it, don't talk about it. Their publicist tells me ahead of time, you're not allowed to bring this up.
Don't bring this up.
Like,
Don't bring that up.
What do you mean, man?
Right.
It was, it made you. In some cases, it makes people wildly wealthy. It makes you like famous beyond your wildest dreams. It makes it like brings joy and happiness to people for like 10 seasons or 3 movies or whatever.
Whatever it is.
And you're gonna like turn your nose up at it.
Doesn't make any sense. It's backwards.
If you go, if you go on like the next 10 auditions and everyone turns you down and specifically says, well, we can't cast. You can't cast E on this because I can understand that, but
and I always tell people like you are. Ed O'Neill was Al Bundy until he wasn't.
Until he wasn't, yes.
So,
and you know what?
By the way, Katie Seagal was Peg Bundy, which might have been a tougher one. And now she's like, so you're typecast till you're not.
Yes.
So
I have a theory. I think that typecast is kind of a thing of the past. I think there's a modern like shift that's gone on. The same way that I think 2 things don't really matter anymore. One, what channel you're on or what streaming service. Like, and I think that started with like Breaking Bad on AMC and Mad Men and shit. Yeah, it used to be like, I'm not gonna watch this show on TNT, and if TNT puts on a good show, I'll watch it. If fucking, yes, Netflix and Amazon or whatever are like the golden, top tier. But if there's a good show that's streaming on like fucking Crackle.com, I don't give a shit anymore, man.
People will find it if it's good.
And I think there used to be an idea of like, typecast, you're just George Costanza from now on. You're just Kramer. And now it's like, you got McConaughey. I think McConaughey made it more mainstream. So I can do the rom-coms. I can also go win an Oscar. I can do this. If Jim Halpert can become Jack Ryan, if John Krasinski can do that, like anything can happen now. And I think it's like audiences are more accepting of it. They're not going to be like, I only think of this guy as the mobster. I don't want to watch anything that's not. It's like funny is funny.
Well, look at Gandolfini.
Right.
Gandolfini.
Did you hear that story about him with The Office? HBO paid him $4 million.
I didn't see. So what was it?
HBO paid him, I think, $3 million to not.
After the fact?
Yes. Like The Sopranos is done. $3 million, do not take the role to be one of the replacements on The Office for Michael Scott. The same way like James Spader and Idris Elba and those guys.
Why? What would
I think there was
protecting the brand kind of thing?
I don't know, because it was a roundtable discussion with a couple of the other guys from the show. And they were like, what was that, to keep the show like pure and the character pure? And he was like, I think that, plus they had The Night Of in production, that miniseries.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to keep that, maybe like the dark, brooding Gandolfini type. But like, to me, that's insane now. It might have been necessary back then. People might have been like,
But if you look at his body of work, what things he would do between the Sopranos, and he would do these roles, and nobody was going like, wait a second, that's Tony Soprano. It's like Gandolfini's just a fucking damn good actor.
That's who he is,
That's just the bottom line.
And Hugh Jackman can be a fucking Broadway stage actor and then be Wolverine. It's just, I think it's almost like you either got the goods or you don't.
Right.
So.
And that's the really,
that's the real answer.
Like, if you're good, you're gonna work.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. And people get past it. And Ed O'Neill is just a perfect example. Here's a guy who, before Married with Children, was a very well-respected stage actor.
Was he really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, very well-respected. He gets his job, made more money than he could ever possibly
making
fathom.
Like fat girl jokes at the shoe store. And,
right? Like having a good time, like working, 25 hours a week. And then you go, how is he ever going to be anything? And then boom, you blink your eyes. So I always say, you are until you're not. And in the meantime, so what?
Yeah. In the meantime, again, assuming that this is like a major role. Like I said, you're living a comfortable life. Right. You get all the perks of the lifestyle. Could be worse, man.
There's maybe some extreme, examples like like if you look at like somebody like Dustin Diamond who, passed away.
It went like tragic.
Screech.
Yeah, sometimes I think if your look is one that's so extreme.
Could be one that might have been tough one to kick or would weigh heavily on you and maybe lead to some things. Because when they're done with you, they're done with you.
Oh, see, throw it on the fucking trash.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. You got to know that going in, right?
What's great about you, and it sounds like it was more like commercial work, but, working at a young age, and, in Rocky V as like a kid, and you're not fucked up. So, congratulations, man. I mean,
I do a good job of not looking, but no, okay. I
mean, how many people, drugs and, God forbid, suicide and just like depression and, It's weird to get thrown into a world where it's like, okay, 10-year-old, you're now an adult.
Right.
What the fuck?
Well, honestly, I got really lucky too. Like when we talked about the East Coast thing, I just fell in with a really good group of friends that always had their heads on straight.
At home or out?
No,
in
when
LA?
I moved out to LA and home. But it was like, I fell in with a crowd that wasn't like a drug crowd. Right. I was smoking weed. You know what I mean? But it was never like. So there was always like a support system of people doing the right thing, around you.
And by chance, it wasn't like you were.
Yeah.
Did you have friends that you were like, you're bad news, I'm not gonna hang out with you anymore?
I think they kind of weeded themselves out.
Yeah,
along
it wasn't
the
like
way.
a conscious, like, I have to make this change.
This guy's got to go. This guy's got to go, So
right.
it was, there's a little, always, and that's the other thing too, there's always a little bit of luck involved.
How much do you think? I had this conversation with Feidelberg the other day. It's like, I think you got to have some talent, some timing, and then just fucking luck, dude.
I know some I know some actors with literally 10 times the ability that I have and are also 10 times better looking than me and just haven't gotten.
Just didn't happen.
That one day,
right.
The stars didn't line up for whatever reason. Now, by the way, that might happen tomorrow.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody.
And that's not to diminish what you did either, because I do believe like you get lucky, but you have to run with that luck.
You got to be ready.
You get lucky the one day for the audition, sure, but now you got to make it work.
You got to be ready.
So like that, it's not to say that like luck meaning you don't have anything else, you don't have any control over it, but like how much do you? Give me a percentage of like talent versus luck versus whatever. What do you think the makeup of like a successful actor entertainer is?
That's actually a really good question because obviously there's some people that are just so raw, talented. Like we were like, whoa,
holy shit.
There's some guys that you knew that their careers are just inevitable.
Right.
You just knew.
Yeah, it's like a
Whether
LeBron
it's like a minor
of acting.
league, right?
Like, you're
just
fucking
this guy's-
unbelievable.
It's just not. It's just a matter of when,
Yeah,
right? It's when
yeah,
they're gonna knock on the door.
Who would that be? Like like Leo was acting at a young age, and it was like, but one day he's gonna win Oscars.
He was like LeBron, but even like Toby was a guy who was just always right. And they were like, all right, this guy he was just like. His picture was just on everybody's wall. Like the right thing is going to come along.
Yeah.
He's a guy that his career was inevitable.
Were you sitting there like, fuck Toby Maguire, man? Fuck
No,
you.
he's like, Toby. Yeah, he's
Wait a minute,
my brother.
You were in the Pussy Posse, right?
Well, listen, there's no such thing as that. Kev,
What?
I
That was the worst lie ever told.
with
There's no such. I mean, there's no aliens in Area 51. Kennedy was assassinated.
my hand on a
get
stack.
the fuck out of
My
here.
hand on a stack of Bibles. Those words never left anybody's mouth. Someone wrote the article.
Okay, that may be true. I'm not saying that you ran around calling yourselves the Pussy
Right.
Posse.
Okay, I'm glad we got that
Okay,
clear, 'cause
that's
that
fair.
would be fucking
And that
lame.
is a great distinction to make, because if you guys were running around like, what's up, the Pussy Posse's in the building, then you guys are fucking losers. Then,
That
you know what?
would be-
Then you're not the
thank
Pussy
God.
Posse. Then you're not the Pussy Posse because no one's fucking those guys because you're losers.
Right.
But you were in a group that had been written about and called the Pussy Posse.
One person. One
Okay.
woman from New York Magazine.
Fine.
whoever it was. I always say, God bless her, man.
I was gonna say.
Talk about something that stuck. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. But
Great article, lady.
listen,
Great
it's
job.
like one of the ones that you hate.
What are you talking about?
I would prefer
You hate it?
I would prefer the hey suit or like I prefer almost
anything other than the Pussy Posse?
just
Well, guess what? We're
because-
talking about it for the next 15 minutes. So
just because it's just like you said, like I think that the problem with it is that the perception is that we were doing
like
that and
running
that
through chicks
that
and
hurts.
fucking-
Like,
yeah.
everybody back up, Pussy Posse in the house.
Give me your wives and
That's
daughters.
right.
I'm gonna fuck them right
Yeah,
now.
no, that was never the thing. In fact,
Take your clothes off.
It was an embarrassment from day one.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But wait, when did that come out? Was that later in
Like
life?
97.
No, so it was
it's still
like
going.
it was like you were in
crazy.
it.
We're
and-
talking about it now. It was 2007. Jimmy Carter was president.
But that was heavy hitters, right? Because was Toby in it? That's what triggered in my mind. I was thinking about the young
listen,
actors.
We all ran.
Who was in the posse?
Well, I mean, I guess that would depend. That's the point. Is that there wasn't like it wasn't like,
set
hey, who was
group.
on that team?
Who's the leader?
Right,
Who's the co-captain?
There was never.
But it was
there
just
were-
like a crew.
Names were
of-
named.
Yeah.
I happen to be one of those names that are named, which is like, it's just funny because the first time you're like, what? And then like you go and you get it, you read the article, and you're like, okay. I mean, she clearly in the article, whatever it was, there was context for it. She didn't say that we said it. She said it. She said she said it.
She was like, they are the Pussy
Or
Posse.
whatever that,
Yeah,
some version
yeah.
of that. But the fact that people would think that like we would like
Yeah.
roll into the party and say that hurts.
Well, I don't.
It
no,
cuts me deep.
I'll be honest. I don't think I never thought of it like that. I just thought of it as like that's probably what these guys are. They probably do roll in the party, and it's like, what the fuck is up?
But it like when you hear it, it's like, oh God, I can't believe it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
I could never even imagine until you're in it. But I think I would laugh about that. I think I would lean into that a little bit.
I did not. We definitely nobody leaned into it at all. In fact, it's like it's not very talked about very often. It was
Yeah.
never. Even then.
Yeah,
it
you're
was-
uncomfortable right now.
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
not enjoying this.
It just
you are fucking squirming.
it just is like it's crazy. Like I get it. It's got a great ring to it. I get it. Right?
And
But
the collection, it
how about
ranged.
this?
It was
if
like
I said if we talked about things that we're going to regret. Oh my God, I can't believe I did this with my hair. I did it.
Yeah.
If it was something and it was like, oh fuck, all right, we were kind of animals and we said that, like, all right, it's embarrassing, but the fact that that it was never said is the only part that's a little bit. I almost wish we had said it. It would almost make more sense.
At least it's real then.
Right,
It's not like just
right.
made up idea.
Right. And then this other thing too, that there was an actual list of people. The only people that got named that were people who were on TV shows.
Yes. Yeah,
Right, so I happen to be on Happily Ever After. Yeah, real killer.
Yeah.
Tune in to me.
There was a
tune
little
in
bit of
to
a
me.
drop off.
Tune in to me and the Stuffed Rabbit on Sunday night at 8 o'clock. The Pussy Posse coming to you on Sunday nights on the WB. So.
But there was a crew of like young guys who were all like in the business who would hang out?
Yeah, we were.
That's what I think is cool. Is I read an article once in maybe GQ or Entertainment Weekly or Rolling Stone, whatever it was, and it was the story of like a specific spot in LA. I can't remember the name of it now, but they were saying how it used to be like the most unbelievable spot because it would be like. In this corner over there is like Justin Timberlake and his manager talking music, and over here are was
Pussy
like
Posse.
Scarlett. Yeah, but it was names like Leo, and it was
what was it? Was it a club?
I think it was. It sounded more like a lounge kind of thing.
Right.
The whole point of the article was like it's dead now, it's gone because phones, cameras, social media. Because it was like these guys are like doing coke over here, and these people are making out over here. But it was like here's where all the celebs come, and they can be themselves and have some fun and not worry about.
Those days are long gone.
Yeah,
and
man.
it's when I look at like a guy like Justin Bieber, like, oh man, like leave the guy alone.
He's lucky he's.
If
I had his money at his age, I'd be dead.
That's
fucking dead.
I mean, it's like the social media thing. While we all are involved in it in some capacity, obviously, right? But just you couldn't. Yeah, there was a time, in 2000, 2001, 2, where you went in there and they kept a tight door.
Yeah,
you could be in there and be yourself, and you weren't gonna,
right.
Now walk into your car is another
different story. Then you're back on your own.
Then
Fine.
you're on your own. But
at least in here,
inside the club,
listen to
and
some music,
now
play some.
they would still do that. They just can't control. They
Right.
just can't control it because everybody is.
Everyone's got their phones. Everyone's a
Everybody's got
snake,
their
or everyone's a
phones, right.
liar,
Yep.
or going to sell their story.
And people are the
whatever.
master of like the over-the-shoulder phone. Like people are masters of angles.
Bro,
You're like,
I get people who now, and I'm obviously on a whole different level. I get people they just run up with the FaceTime already going.
Right.
Yo, dude. It's like,
Oh, God,
what
I hate
the
that.
fuck was that, man?
that's my. Oh, by the way, it's probably my one pet peeve is somebody like walking up and putting me on the phone with somebody.
The worst. Or even
I'm not talking to you. I'm not
cool
gonna hang
with
up on
Yeah, I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. And I definitely know who
and
the
then
other
you
the
put
phone.
your dirty phone on my
Yeah.
ear. Like, where's that phone been?
I'll take a
Right.
picture 1,000,000 times in a row.
course.
Don't care. When people do that, or when they say like, yo, like my friend Greg couldn't be here. Can you make a quick video like saying hi and that you wish he was here and he just
I
got
don't wish he
home from
was
the
here.
hospital? Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like,
wish
I don't
he
give
was
a
here.
fuck if he's here or not, man.
In fact, there would be two of you, and I'm glad that he's not here.
Right.
Tell him I said what's up.
But yeah, so like, did you have a you got friends home?
Those were the
back
good
home.
times, though.
You got
Those
I'm
were the good
sure,
times
man.
when you could
so
go
you're
in.
probably at the before the internet and shit hits. You're like 20 something. No, but for real. Before like the culture, goes bananas with the paparazzi and shit.
I can remember one night I was walking out of a club and I said something. The guy had a camera, and I just made an off the cuff. I said something to him. I was like, he was asking like stupid questions. I was like, you need a new bit, bro. It's trash, right? So whatever it was. Then I wake up in the morning and like people are like texting me. I'm like, why am I getting these text messages? I'm like, I don't know what. I don't know. And I'm thinking, wait, I did say it. And then they're like, oh, you got to check out this thing, TMZ. And I was like, there I am walking out of the club like, just fucking trashing this guy. And that changed.
That was it. Like from
that was when it was like, okay, this
Can't do this anymore.
is a thing now because.
How old do you think you were?
This is probably, I don't know, 2003, 2004, 2005, whatever.
Right before it really gets aggressive.
Yeah, like I think the Paris Hilton DUI, I think, launched TMZ.
Right.
Like, and Harvey will tell you, Harvey will say, like, Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan built TMZ.
Right. That's crazy.
And now they're like a major news, like a legit news source,
But you at least got a taste of like the old Hollywood, if you will.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, it was.
We got to have fun. We were cool.
It was
like
great.
you had, you had like
if you-
regular friends, and then you had like industry friends, where it was like, this actor, this entertainer, this singer, like, what's up, man?
If you really dropped the ball and you really fucked up, like you'd end up in Us Weekly. That was was like a
if
bad
you're
day.
major embarrassment, and that's
Publicist
it.
called, how could you do that?
Right,
Can't
right,
believe
right.
it. Like Us
Right.
Weekly was as bad as it got. Now it's crazy.
Who were like your friends in the industry? Like your best, like friends you
Yeah.
actually. But like you see people, you say what's up, you party with them a little bit. But like, did you have like, this is my boy, we'll like hang out together regularly?
Oh yeah, the same guys that still hang out regularly. It's
Yeah,
like
you guys roll into each other's house and you call each other the Pussy Posse. You got the
absolutely.
signs up,
Right.
Pussy Posse.
You got the neon signs.
just tons of pussy
and
running
then,
around.
and it's not allowed on until we're all in there together, and then somebody clicks the button.
Yeah, do you
and
guys
the
have like
neon
a secret
sign comes on.
handshake?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have something like you all have to turn your key at the same time?
Man, it's so funny how little it's discussed. Which is really, it's true. It's how little it's discussed because it's so embarrassing.
It
like
is.
you can't even get him like what that guy like you won't even say you don't even say the full. You can't even bring yourself to say the full kind of thing.
I think Leo was probably the most famous guy in the Pussy Posse.
He's like one of the most famous guys in the world.
Right, but he was
So
in it. Like he was I mean, I just.
Well, the article was about him.
Yeah.
So he unfortunately got tagged.
I swear to God, I promise you this: if by some fucking chance, grace of God, I can ever interview Leonardo DiCaprio, the only thing I will ask him about is the Pussy Posse, and he will end the interview immediately.
It'll be a good walkout.
Yes,
it'll be
but that's
good
the thing.
walkout.
I'm sure I could have a great conversation with him about all sorts of cool shit. It would not be as if there's a video of like blogger asked Leonardo DiCaprio about Pussy Posse, he melts down and leaves.
Right,
we're going viral, motherfucker.
Right,
That's my goal.
You're down with a walkout. You're down
Yes,
with a walkout.
I mean,
Exactly.
I'll sit
You're
down and be
with
all
a
proper like this, but yeah, so we're gonna talk about the environment, Leo, and all
Right.
that. I'm like, "So about that Pussy Posse." He will go, okay, we're done here, takes the mic off and leaves, and I will love it.
Yeah. Well, by the way, you'd get jumped by 18 different you wouldn't know, but his publicists are actually physically large
I'm
as
sure.
well.
I'm sure I would get literally my ass kicked for bringing that up.
That would not be good. But he does. It's funny too. We this point in our lives, like all of us, it's not even we talk to each other now. It's not even like about business stuff, right? It's kids and.
Yeah.
Like I'll read something.
Washed
I'll
up,
be like,
man,
yo,
old
did
man.
you really donate $43 million to the Galapagos Islands? The fuck is
For
going
real?
on? $43 million? Fucking nuts, bro. But he takes that like that's a very real thing for him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You guys are all like, you still in touch with a lot of the people from that like era?
from the
Pussy Posse. I'm trying
Yes,
other ways to say it because I know you don't want to say it, but
he's like from that
the group of
from that
friends, the era of
from that
actors,
era of group of
the
actors.
fucking Pussy Posse.
Yes, we're all still.
Because I wonder how often it's like, like I said, the same way you can like fall in love with a girl on a set, I feel like you could become like best friends with someone on a set, and then like if that project ends, you're like, it's like a work friend for a regular person.
A lot of times you think it's going to be like a relationship, right? You're like, oh, like you'd be out in some crazy part of the world and like you have this bond and you're like, oh, I'm going to be friends with this person forever. Sometimes you are, and then other times, it goes, life gets in the way.
Yeah. It's funny to think of, because normal people have work friends where it's like, oh, that's Gil. I sit next to him in my cube and we're friends, but then he got a different job and I haven't seen him in 10 years, But for you guys, that's
I don't
fucking...
really like Gil.
No, it's not
always
even
kind
that.
of an
It's just that
asshole.
it's like...
Now that I think about it.
Fuck Gil. Fuck you, Gil. All right, so Entourage then happens.
Right.
And I would imagine knowing, HBO, of course, has clout, and Wahlberg's attached to it, right? So you probably think, like, I got a big role here, but did you ever know it was like, holy shit?
The truth is, like, I'd passed on the role a few times.
No fucking way, you dumb goddamn idiot.
Hindsight is 2020,
but
right?
at the time,
the time it was a pilot. I was doing working on this other thing, and I just couldn't get out of this other thing that I was doing. But there did come a point where somebody was like, "Yo, dude, Mark Wahlberg is going to be at the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and you've got to be there."
Okay.
At 9 o'clock.
Right.
He wants to talk to you.
Right.
Like, I'm getting called in for a sit down.
They're like wooing
I'm getting called
you,
in
like-
for a sit down.
Yeah.
I got called in for a sit down with Mark Wahlberg. I'm like, okay. And Mark was always so nice to us, and like we ran in separate crowds, but we were always under the Wahlberg protection.
Oh, wow.
Like,
he is like the fucking mob, huh?
Mark and his buddies were like, me and my buddies were like at one table and we're like, these guys ain't gonna do shit. Wahlberg and his guys.
Yeah. Wahlberg,
anybody fucked with us. So we were like under the Wahlberg protection
it's like,
umbrella.
if you touch the Pussy Posse, I'm gonna fuck you guys up.
Right. So I go to this meeting with Wahlberg and he's very soft spoken. He's like, listen, I'm asking you as a favor to explore it and go and sit down. And I was like, oh wow. No headlocks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't get jacked up.
No
again.
broken kneecaps
He
and
was
walking out here on my fingers.
Mark Wahlberg is as smooth as ice.
Yeah.
So, and then it just sort of happened.
So you had to audition for it, or
Came in and I read the one time, and it was the day of the Aaron Boone home run.
Wow. Huh.
Let's just keep reiterating
how old you are.
Reiterating how old I am.
The day,
I just
day
remember
of or the day after?
the day of, because I can remember
So you did
sitting
that
in the
and then that
car,
home run hit. Yeah,
listening to the bulk of the game in the car, trying to get somewhere to watch the
That was one
the
of the worst
late
moments of my life.
Oh, that's
I
right.
was on
Sorry.
mine.
Yeah.
God. I was
Forgot
the
about
only.
that.
I was at Fordham at the time, so I'm in the Bronx, and it was me, my brother who's a Mets fan, his friend who's a Mets fan, and then it was a bunch of obviously Yankee fans, but then there was a big Red Sox contingent at Fordham.
Strangely, right?
A lot
That's
of Boston kids
yeah.
came down, and I remember just knowing that was gonna happen, like one way or the other. And I remember like as soon as that ball gets hit, I grabbed my pitcher and I like, poured up the 3 Mets fans. I was like, cheers, guys. Like, we're back in the trenches again. Like,
Right.
the fucking Yankees are going to do it. And then I had one friend who was from Massachusetts, but a Yankees fan. And he just punched this Red Sox fan in the face.
Yeah,
like, he just won the game. And he was like, fuck you. Bam! And it was just a big brawl.
No
and
internet.
it was like,
No,
yeah,
that would have been. That would have been. That would have
nobody
went
would
viral.
have jobs right
That would have
now.
went viral.
Yeah,
that would have
big
went
time.
viral.
I remember being like, dude, and he was like a good friend of mine. I was like,
Why would you do that?
I was like, well, you won the game. And he was like, well, it was just like we were talking shit all game, and it
Right.
just boiled up, and it was my celebration.
Right, I
Holy
was going to
shit.
do that, and I was going to hit him if we lost.
Yeah, one
Either
way or
I
another,
was
that guy was getting
punching
punched.
this guy regardless.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
happy that I punched him under
Right,
these circumstances.
Right. So, all right,
but-
same
no,
day
but
as
yeah, no, Entourage-
back then.
Entourage-
So, but wait, so you audition like I guess people make you audition for things, and you're like,
And that's the other thing too. I literally, it's not that you don't. It's the ones that you like are up at night that you go, fuck man, I gotta get this. That you end up not getting.
Right.
And then when you just kind of walk in and you're like, oh,
it's
yeah,
like
what's
finding
up?
a girl sometimes.
And-
like when you're
and-
just relaxing, you be yourself.
And
that's when you land the
what
girl.
They said.
you know?
They said you came in. You basically didn't want to talk to any of us.
And we're like,
Basically
"We gotta have
walked
this
in and was
guy."
like, all right, you guys ready?
Yeah. What are we doing here? Let's
go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and that worked.
I read it once and I
Yeah.
walked out. I was like, all right, it's good seeing you guys. And
So
you know,
they call you. They say, the role is yours, and you're
Right.
like, thanks, but no thanks.
No. So then, it took them a lot to get me. I just didn't want to go.
Got it.
Because also too, remember, it's about. It was a little close to home. I thought, whatever it was, it ended up not being that. But
Yeah. Wait, close home in what sense?
well, I mean, my friends,
Just like your life and the way.
Yeah, but I got the wrong vibe of it. But
Okay.
that's what was my initial thought was like, maybe this is a little too close to home, even though I knew it was about Mark, whatever it was. But
Did you have a friend like that? Did you live a life like Entourage?
no, but it's like I think there's initially the thought of it's like, oh well, and Leo, but you know what I mean?
Got it.
just
So you
is-
thought it was
I
a
didn't
Pussy
know what
Posse.
it was.
I get it. You thought it was the
That was the
tail of
original
Pussy
title.
Posse.
That was the original title. But the funny thing about Entourage was, again, I had been acting for a long time, but I mean that aired on, and it's I don't know how, but that aired on Sunday, and when I woke up Monday morning, like less than 12 hours, my life was changed forever,
Really? It was that fast?
just like that.
Wow. Because, sometimes it takes a season even or two to
Right.
catch on. But like the critics, the fan, like, what was it?
The show was really well received by the critics, but you remember I'd been in Hollywood for a long time at that point, so I kind of knew a lot
You
of
could
people.
feel, yeah.
But I just felt everything was
knew it was
just different.
Wow.
And it's funny too because some people will say that they felt it like a little bit like 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later. For me, I literally felt it on Monday. By the way, I lived in this apartment. I had to move out of my apartment building because like people were like knocking on my door. I'm like, yo,
Sure.
bro, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
I don't want to. You want to come in and hang out?
Yeah.
I don't know you.
I'm not.
Like,
it's not
hey,
real.
what's up, man? Like,
Yeah.
you want to smoke?
Now what?
You want
Yeah.
to smoke?
Oh,
No,
my
bro.
God.
No, I don't want to smoke. You're fucking crappy weed, and you're not coming into my apartment.
As a matter of fact, I'm fucking moving right now because I just made it, bitch.
Right, well, I had to get out of there for sure because it was like
That's interesting. though.
people in the building.
Yeah, that's
It wasn't
nuts.
like people were coming in through the
No,
front
it's like
door.
your
It was
fucking actual neighbor
This
just
guy's
walking
in a
over.
guy from 805. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro,
Go
don't
home.
come knock on my. Go back down to the 8th floor, bro.
That's
Do
nuts.
not come. So.
It's I mean, now you got the internet. You can tell if you got a hit on your hand because of, we got a million zillion impressions and this was trending and this went viral. But back then it was just like you could tell the way the industry was handling it, like
Yeah.
the way the article was written. Not even though there's no articles. It was literally just 12 hours later.
No, but it was like, at that point, it was like the New York Times,
Yeah,
Times,
right.
what we were getting
Like
from the
big-
big
big
publications.
names are talking
yeah,
about you.
now that doesn't really matter as much,
Yeah,
right? Now it's
right.
more about what people are saying on Twitter,
Fucking
which
13-year-olds on TikTok,
which
if they
is
like
crazy.
you or not.
Right. So.
And I mean, that show, I've talked to Jerry Ferrara a couple times, talked to Doug a little bit
Right.
with Kevin over. I haven't really, he's always been like kind of third on the podcast. I haven't like really sat down with him, but talked to enough people involved in the show that it seems like it was fun. Like, as a fan, we all say, we have a question for Answer the Internet that's like, if you could live inside one TV show, what would it be? And a lot of people are like, fucking Entourage. That shit looked awesome. But it also seems like the job, it was...
eat breakfast with your friends every day, and then go to lunch,
yeah,
and spend
it was
money.
amazing. Buy sneakers and fucking bang chicks, and that's it.
People would always call, well, there was a big thing about people breaking down Vince's finances.
Oh, my God,
saying
forget
that we literally are lying about...
You'd have to be like a bazillionaire,
He would
right?
have to be fucking Zuckerberg for us to be living that lifestyle. You know?
I mean, yeah, he was funding like 6 different lives and mansions and trips, jets, and fucking,
he made $4 million on the movie before he paid everybody. I mean, it's like somehow we all just got new Aston Martins and live in a $40 million house. But it was always, like Doug always said, like it was a wish fulfillment. It was supposed to be a wish fulfillment show. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I
was
made
it
big and I bought all my boys Aston Martins.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody wants the realistic one where Vinny comes home and he's like, all right, well, we got like
I can't carry
$300K
you
after
fucking
taxes,
lazy
so...
motherfuckers forever, so get your asses up and get to work.
Right. But yeah, was it fun to work on as an actor?
Like,
I mean, it does seem that way. Where because sometimes I get disappointed when I hear I've talked to guys who have been on the sets of movies where there's like 20 of your favorite comics and shit. Like, how fun was that? And they were like, nah, man, it was stressful. It was hard. There was egos, and we wanted to one up each other and all that. But it does seem like you guys all enjoyed it.
First of all, nowadays productions move to so many different places, right? You tax credits. You're in Vancouver. You're in wherever.
Right.
Crazy places. Like, how good can the tax credit be? That
right.
We're going
we gotta
to
go all the
Romania.
way.
The fuck is that about, right? But it would be like, honestly, like there were times where we would be shooting so close to my house that I would just take a walkie-talkie and I would go like sit on my couch, and when they called me, I'd walk out of my house.
Dude, that sounds
so
awesome.
As opposed to being in a hotel room in Romania for 4 months, you know what I mean? Like that. So by
get
that
ready, come on
nature,
down.
that,
All right,
and also
see you
too,
there.
like we would follow the trends, right? So it would be, whatever club was going on, that's the club we were shooting at, and they were welcoming us with open arms because it was good for them.
I'm sure.
Right, so it's like whatever was happening, we were on the forefront of it. So, honestly, if I won 10 Oscars, it would never be more fun. It might be better for you, obviously, but like there's never will in the history of the world could there be a more fun job than Entourage.
I really believe that.
Impossible.
I genuinely believe that. Yeah.
Like even The Office. At the end of the day, they're in
That's
the
a
sound
work.
stage.
Yeah,
they're doing all this kind of stuff. We were like strolling down Beverly Hills,
Beautiful chicks,
hanging out, like everybody was
celebrity
cool.
appearances.
And also, it was new success for everybody.
Yeah, it did feel that way. Where
Doug included, right?
Yeah.
So we were all sort of on this
boat.
ride together.
Yeah.
There wasn't like some like big fish that was like,
Well, I mean, you come from the
right, exactly. Aside from that, I like how you're doing it though. You see how you're not saying it? You just kind of mumble it. That's the way to do it. That's how we speak about it. You put your hands over your mouth and
It does feel like a dream come true for like a 20-something, 30-something-year-old guy. Like I can't even think of something else that would compare. I remember somebody pitched it to me when I first started watching as this is Sex and the City for guys, and I was like, all right, that's enough. And I don't think that's a good comparison, but I think from the actual show point of view, like girls had their show to watch and do their thing.
And it was New York. It was like New York was like the fifth character.
Yes, for sure.
And LA
is that, yeah.
Right, like,
but so I don't know if the actual show itself is like that compares.
It's different.
But having a show that your boys can talk about.
Right.
Because it was like we just watched sports and we watched like some funny sitcoms and that was that.
And also it was a half hour.
It was
like,
easy.
But
It almost became water cooler talk, even though we were like in high school. I was in high school at the time. It was like, did you see what Vinny did last night? Like, how about that chick who V was with, And that was our show to like talk about. And now the fact that it's
you were old enough
lived
to
on.
have water coolers.
No, that's what I mean.
Water coolers in school. Now you have to bring your own water bottle. You don't stand around the water cooler. No, it was, and it just got, and then I guess when the show went sort of international, and I remember at the premiere for the last season, the guy said to me, somebody was like, Entourage was in like 214 countries and territories.
I mean,
like I went to Egypt. And
you were a
like,
monster, like mega star.
Yeah, it was like we were in Egypt, and I remember it was on like the pyramids, and like there's people like, yo, because it was after the season where Vince was on cocaine or whatever. He's like, yo, E, you gonna get Vinny off the shit or what? and I like had a headband. I was in like full Egypt mode, right?
Yeah.
I was like, thought I was I was Indiana Jones. Entourage was the furthest thing from my mind. I'm like, this guy's yelling. I'm like, what the fuck? This
Dude,
guy
we're
literally
in the
standing,
Sphinx, bro.
literally standing on the pyramid, realizing how short I was. I'm like, damn, these fucking bricks are big, man. I don't even like to look at that picture because the bricks make me look really short. But yeah, so it would be a trip to go and like to go to places and the places that you would get recognized.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man. And then you listen to like people dubbing your voice in like whatever language, thinking like, God, that guy's a better actor than me. He should. Does that guy speak English? Maybe he could redub my performance.
So so you said that changes everything, right? That's money, that's fame, that's like just. Were you doing when you get a job like that? Do you do other roles in between that, or do you just do your one show when you make it on a hit?
Well, the other great thing about Entourage too was like a lot of the network shows shoot for 8-9 months out of the year.
Yeah,
we would shoot from like March to like June or July.
Oh, wow, a whole season. Holy shit. Almost, I'd rather be on the set of Entourage for 8-9 months rather than, I'm like, let's keep going, guys.
But it was hard because it was a lot. I mean, we worked, we definitely worked, long hours.
Yeah,
and
people don't think that, it's like as fun as it is.
It was a lot
20-hour days and all that shit.
Work.
Was there any drama, any beef, any like inside,
not
fights?
Really, Jeremy Piven is Jeremy, but we always got along with Jeremy.
He was probably the biggest star at that point.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. He had done the most.
Right.
So, and then the way his character sort of blew up, people would ask us like, if that was no, the only thing that was good for all of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking rack those Emmys up, baby. Let's keep this shit going. Yeah, I was like, great.
I mean, was there any competition like that? Like,
no, because also too, Jeremy's guy had been in 50 movies.
Yeah,
before.
So he kind of,
he was like an elder statesman.
Yeah.
Like, he earned it. He paid his dues. You know what I mean? So,
that might be also why the show worked like it did. Because I would imagine if you do Entourage 1,000 times. I bet you, like, with different casts and people, like 999 times, I bet you there's some beef, some drama. This guy became a diva. This guy got hooked on drugs, almost like what happened on the fucking show. But you guys just seem to be like the perfect storm where everyone was like pretty cool, pretty normal.
But there's that brother thing. There were times where you're like, I'm gonna fucking kill. I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna kill this guy. But like in like the brother way, So it's like, and the other thing too,
the point that you and Doug and Kevin and everybody are still doing shit together.
Right.
It's like a lot of times the shit ends and everyone goes their separate ways.
No,
it's like the fact that you guys are still kicking it makes.
And the truth is, like, there's what we went through was something that only those other guys can understand. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, especially with the four guys, like, it's just like only they know. Like, so there's that. And
there's been other hit shows, other breakouts, other comparable things, but not like this.
We have a unique insight into each other, or sort of.
Were you single at the time of Entourage?
I was on for 10 years, right? So I was.
I would imagine being single and being on Entourage was probably an enjoyable
I probably was not
thing.
Single enough.
Yeah.
I probably.
Yeah, it's almost like thinking back, like,
I
had a girlfriend in college. What a fucking bonehead.
Right.
Having a girlfriend on the set of Entourage, but not the best of ideas. Although I'm sure they were not exactly ugly or anything like that. But. But yeah.
No, it was. I mean, the whole thing was just. It was bananas, and then you would get other opportunities like. He's just not that into you, which was, for me, it was a big get,
Monster
right?
cast
it was,
too,
you know what I mean? It's like, in alphabetical order, I got kind of fucked because Affleck. I mean, like, Jesus Christ. Normally, Connolly, you land up at the top.
Front, yeah.
I got Jennifer Connolly ahead of me. I got Affleck. I got Barrymore. I'm like, I'm buried.
Hey,
I could have been the top billing.
It's not bad to see that first, though. It's like, okay, and Connolly rolls with these guys? All right, let's do it.
I made the poster, so I guess that was, well, take that. But there could have been a world where I could have been the first bill.
But you know what? I mean, from back in your WB days, like you were, we were joking around about the Hubba Dubba Bubba dance or whatever the fuck that was.
God.
That we'll put
That's
that clip
worse
in
than
there.
the Pussy Posse. It really
Yeah, it
is.
is.
That's a bad
You
memory.
fucking do your white
That's a
boy
bad
dances
memory.
or whatever that was.
Worst thing ever.
Oh,
And I was
man,
on
that
tilt. I was
classic.
mad.
I know. Yeah, you didn't want to do that, right?
But I didn't know how to do anything.
Because that was, I mean, there was a lineup of, let's say, urban shows where people could dance and move, and those actors were comfortable
Jamie
there.
Foxx. I'm comfortable saying that Jamie Foxx is a better dancer than I am.
Yes.
As
And
is
then
Steve
you had
Harvey
to
and the
go-
Wayans brothers, and like there's me.
My favorite story from that though was that you said Sarah Michelle Gellar put her foot down, right? She was like, "I'm not
She
fucking
said,
doing
I
it.
don't
I'm
dubba.
fucking Buffy. I
I
don't."
believe she said I don't dubba. And I was like, well, neither do I.
And they
But
said,
guess
"Yes,
what?
you do."
Yeah, but guess what? I just fucking did it.
I dub it.
My back hurts.
But my point being that, like, from you were in that network. I mean, you probably didn't have much interaction with other shows, right?
Just
But
at
you were
those sort
on-
of things.
Yeah.
Just at those sort
so
of
you
things.
were
'Cause
always
that
around like
became
monster
that
names.
became the CW.
Right.
Right. So the WB launched the network and the UPN launched the network.
Yep.
And then finally, great move. They said,
Yeah.
"Guys, let's just make this one
Let's stop
thing."
fight it. Yeah. I mean, I watched all those shows, man. I was
Right.
right in that wheelhouse where it was
Right.
like all that shit. Some of it was guilty pleasures, like
Right.
watching the girl shows. Other things were like watching your show. Those dresses on Nikki Cox. Jesus Christ.
Exactly. But it's funny that I can remember the thought of first time seeing Jamie Foxx being like, well, this guy must be halfway decent, right? He's got his own show.
Yeah, I think he's pretty decent.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but at the
Same
time,
to
you
say
had
at
no
the time,
idea.
I was like, wow, this guy's got to be funny. There's like
definitely.
Jamie Foxx. It's,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And even
Steve
Steve Harvey, who, by the way,
yeah.
fuck Richard Dawson. Steve Harvey is the best Family Feud host in the history of the show, and it's not even close.
Dude, you know what I can't stand though?
love
him. They said it in a
tee it
good
up,
way.
and
They teed it up, and
right.
then they go like top 100 answers on the board. What's something a woman puts inside herself? And they
Right,
go penis. You go, oh, penis. Did you say penis?
Right,
Like,
but
yeah, man. We know.
he just kills me. He's
Hilarious.
just better than Richard Dawson. It's just like terrible thing to say. You get in trouble for
the
saying
facts
that.
are facts,
Blows
man.
the facts are
Yeah.
facts.
So yeah, I mean, it kind of maybe whether you realize it or not, kind of prepared you for like being around, for when you did have all that success. It's like you've been around big names your whole life, and
But it's strange, and I don't want to take like a weird dark turn, but it really built up an anxiety to a certain extent in me. Yeah, because I was around going to all of those parties as just like a party goer, and it was fun. And then when I started to get this attention, like all of a sudden I had this this
Shit.
anxiety. So
like you had to deliver. Or
I don't know.
perform,
I
or
just was like,
no,
I
shouldn't
was
be
never.
here,
I'm
or-
like, yeah, we're walking the red carpet at the Golden Globes. This is a great moment.
Yeah.
Why do I
Just soak
feel
it in.
like I want to bang my head against this carpet
Interesting.
and hide under it? Yeah, and I
Yeah.
didn't really even realize it till later.
And it's like in the Entourage days.
Yeah, in
Wow.
the Entourage days, and I had some.
What is that about? What do you think it was?
I don't really know. It just
Like,
I just
like,
remember. Like this just anxiety. I just wasn't enjoying it the way that I should have.
Did you think like you didn't belong? Like I shouldn't be here?
Maybe
Yeah.
there
Little
was
imposter syndrome type
kind
shit.
of thing where it just like drove up the anxiety. Of course, I'm like, yo, we got to have a drink before the carpet, right? We're not
that
gonna walk
makes
this
sense
carpet,
though.
so-
I again knowing you, that's blue collar family, East Coast lifestyle. Like even with like here's the success. It's tangible. I'm on the show. I'm a huge part of it. It's huge hit.
Yep.
You still feel like I don't belong with fucking Drew Barrymore and Jennifer Connolly and Ben Affleck. Like come on, not me.
Yeah.
But it's like you do, man. You fucking do.
Well,
I wish I had someone in my life who would tell me like you do. You do belong.
But it's like you didn't almost realize it at the time.
Yeah,
Right? So it's
yeah.
like, my mother and father both passed away. My dad passed away. I was 16, but my mom got sick during Entourage. And
shit.
Out of the one morning, I wake up and phone is ringing, and I hear like people screaming. I was like, I thought something bad happened. Answer the phone, and they're like, yo, you got nominated for Best Actor in a comedy, Golden Globes. I didn't even know they were announcing. I didn't even know they were announcing.
You don't even know you were in it.
The
Yeah,
Golden
yeah.
Globes, right? So, and it's funny too. I always look at this thing. It was like Carell, Alec Baldwin, Duchovny, Tony Shalhoub, and me. Going like,
See, those are
what's
the
wrong?
names, though,
But
bro.
I'm going,
One of these
something's
things.
wrong with this picture. And alphabetically, I'm in the middle of it too. So I'm sandwiched between these two names, right? And honestly, like my mom passed away like a few weeks after that, but I was able to take her as my date.
Oh, that's
right?
cool. That's awesome.
But It was so much, and it wasn't even about her being sick, just the anxiety. Like I couldn't even enjoy that. I just,
that sucks,
in
man.
hindsight, or if there were ever any of that kind of stuff again, that would be my advice to somebody.
Soak it in.
Take a step back.
Yeah.
Soak it in. It's okay. I was nominated and didn't feel too good to be there.
Right.
You know, and I can remember, and I've told this story a few times, but you know, they come back and then the cameraman gets in front of you, right? Because they're going to do your close up.
So awkward.
So my fucking head is ready to explode, and my mom is sitting next to me. And you got to do your
Play
clap.
cool. Oh yeah.
You got to do your.
He won. He deserved it. Yeah.
Alec
On the inside, you're
Baldwin
like,
won.
fuck.
Alec Baldwin has won his 8th consecutive Golden Globe, right?
I've always said I wish somebody would have an honest moment where like they're a little box and you just see them go like motherfucker.
Yeah,
fuck this.
It's out there. There's
Yeah,
a few
yeah,
of
a
them.
couple
There's
people,
a few
yeah.
of them, right? But so for me, of course, I knew I wasn't going to win, but there is that little voice in the
You
back.
never know.
Adrian Brody pulled off a miracle. You know, you
Yeah,
pull
it
up a
can
late
happen.
4th quarter comeback. You never know.
Yeah.
But they're like, Alec Baldwin, like, just remember mutter. I was like, fuck. I muttered like, fuck, under my breath. And my mom leaned in. My mom leaned in. She's like, you didn't really think you were going to be
Come on, babe. Let's be honest.
You didn't
Yeah.
really think you were going to beat Alec Baldwin, did you? And I was like, well, no. Thanks for the
Thanks, Mom.
I appreciate that, you know. But yeah, no, I do. I wish I would have allowed myself to, you know, just soak it in a little bit more, and just have a little fun.
I gather you're not that type. Like even now, Action Park Media and doing like your own network, and it just I get the impression you're kind of like, what's next? More like, great that I got this role, but I'm not gonna rest on my laurels. I'm not gonna get complacent. And that, I think sometimes I feel the same way with the shit that I do on the internet. It's like a little bit of a gift and a curse. I'm happy that I'm ambitious.
Right.
I can do a lot. I can handle a lot. I got good work ethic. But it does stop me from being like, wait a minute, like, enjoy that I can fucking call you up and be like, you want to do a show? And you said yes.
Live in the moment, right?
Because
Like,
these are things that
it's such a cliche, right?
I never would have thought would be possible for me.
Right.
And I always
And
say,
you're already
if you had
thinking,
told
like,
me
I
back
should be
then,
doing more.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like, dude, just fucking enjoy. But
because it really isn't. Again, let's just bust out every lame cliche, but it really is the journey that's the
and
fun
I've learned
part,
that.
you know?
I know the idea of like failure. It's not really failure. It's like trying things out and growing and changing. But the idea of like, you probably, I would imagine, could just have like kicked your feet up and retired and did nothing for the rest of your life if you wanted to, right?
Right. I
But
mean,
you're
you know,
like,
it's, you know, like we talk about like the anxiety part of it, and the best thing, not the best thing that happened, but like, you know, when I got involved in the Gotti debacle,
what was
I had
that?
a nervous breakdown.
What was the Gotti debacle?
Well, I directed the movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Fuck, put me in the hospispittal, bro.
Yeah, did it?
Yep. I mean, I walked in. I've never been to the hospital in my life. I walked in and like, they're like, I'm happy. I'm like, yeah, I'm dying. They're like, of what? I'm like, I don't know. Probably a heart attack.
You tell me. That's why I'm fucking
Probably
here.
a heart attack, but that's why. Yeah, exactly. I would like an expert to
What
look deeper
like,
into this.
What went
It
down there
just-
exactly?
It just was, you know, it's the same kind of a thing. Like, hey, they want to meet you on this thing. And I'm like, based on what? Like,
Yeah,
there's no way.
why? Yeah.
Well, now you know why, right? But you go in, right, and they end up. I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah, why not? This will be fun. And you know, we land in Cincinnati for New York. By the way.
Right.
Shooting Cincinnati. We're shooting a 40-year period piece in Cincinnati for New York in 20 days.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
I got off the plane, and the minute I walked in, I said, I knew I'm in big fucking trouble here.
Really?
But I couldn't. I
can't
couldn't,
back out.
I couldn't
You can't
quit.
quit. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
4 other directors had quit, and if I would have quit, that would have been it. And you know, and then it just went from bad to worse to worse to worse to worse to where I just honestly like I had a fucking breakdown.
Really?
But the good thing about the breakdown was that I learned about the anxiety end of it. You know.
You gotta hit rock bottom in a way.
Yeah,
to be
I mean, I was like,
fucking-
oh, okay. So now when anxiety creeps in, you go, oh, it's a little
Here's how you
anxiety. You'll
handle it.
pass.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
had to learn. You had to learn.
Totally.
It,
I mean, I
learn it
wake
the
up
hard way.
every time. I wake up in the middle of the night almost every night now, and I just go, all right, give it like 30 minutes. Because usually I would be like existential dread till the fucking sun comes up. Like, you know,
Right,
now
when
it's
you
like,
do, you
it's
know
gonna suck
that
for an hour, but you'll be all right.
Right.
You know?
It took really hitting the rock bottom.
That's
But was-
that's something that was a sign. There's a few moments in my life where I'm like, okay, you're old.
Right.
I remember like funny little things, like the minute I started drinking unsweetened iced tea. I was like, you're old. That's an
Right.
old people drink. Then when
They didn't even have unsweetened iced tea.
But then when Snapchat first came out, and I was like, I don't know how to use this. That was the first app that I was like, there's no words, but I don't know what these little icons are. I was like, all right, you can't use an app, like you're fucking old. And then like having anxiety and that kind of shit, having anxiety attacks. Like when you're a kid, if you're lucky enough, you don't do this shit.
You weren't allowed. I mean,
that was. I mean, as a guy too,
my dad, like, kids don't get depressed. Depressed about what?
Yeah, you're not stressed.
School?
Yeah, that's not hard. Shut the fuck up. You can't possibly you can't be anxious about anything.
Exactly.
But knowing that, like, anxiety and mental health and all that shit's like, oh yeah, you're old because life just fucking takes its toll, man.
Yeah,
good
man.
or bad, life
honestly,
takes its toll.
That of all the shit that I've been through, that one hit me the hardest.
Yeah.
It really
Did
did.
you like make any drastic changes after that? Was it like, all right, I'm gonna do this from now on, that from now on?
What happened? The other thing too, it was not, it was like harboring a really dark secret, right? Like, because it was no surprise,
right?
When the movie came out and that happened, I was sitting on that for 2 years,
right?
I knew.
You knew.
I didn't think, well, maybe we'll get lucky,
right?
So it's just like every day you were just a day closer to the day, and then
oh my god,
then you start going, well, maybe the day, and then when the fucking Tomahawk missile lands in your backyard, I mean,
holy shit.
Yeah, that was a tough one, a tough pill for me to swallow, for sure. The hardest moment I've been through in my career.
Really?
Yeah, that was bad. So, but and now, like, I wouldn't have even, a year ago I wouldn't have even talked about it. In fact, I would have said, hey man, are we gonna talk about the guy? It's like
I feel like that's
to talk about,
when people tell me they don't want to talk about something in an interview, I'll respect it. But
Right.
I'm like, that's you like just suppressing it and pushing it down and avoiding it, and like it's part of your story.
Yeah.
And you got to tell it.
Yeah.
And like, if it was the end of you, I understand it. But like, look, you're still on your feet. You're fucking, doing your own thing now. It's like, it was a bump in the road. Might have been a big one. Might have been a fucking mountain in the road.
Pothole of epic proportions. It was the Grand Canyon of bumps in the road, by the way.
So now is it all producing, directing, like behind the scenes, behind the camera type shit, or are you still acting?
Listen, acting stuff, the less you chase it, the more it comes. Right? It sounds weird, but
that makes
that's going to
sense.
come. I've been doing
That
it
doesn't sound
long enough.
Yeah.
When I'm right for
role
something, they're
pops
gonna
up.
come. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't spend my days.
Were you fully on board with Entourage movies, or did you want to leave it as is?
Yeah. I mean, it's but even that, it was like, hey, let's get the band back together.
Yeah. That's why I'll take the money, but also it's like, let's let's make 5 of these. Let's keep going.
30. We shot it in 35 days in LA.
Yeah.
All the cameos. It was the movie was a blast.
Right.
In fact, the movie was probably more fun than the show.
Yeah, less stress.
Of course.
So if an acting role comes your way right now, you'll take it. But for the most part, you're doing you're doing the internet shit, man. You're like, you're doing podcasting, you're doing internet content. I think that's important.
Here's the problem. Actors, and I can say this because I'm an actor. Actors are at the bottom of the food chain.
You think so?
Right now, or like no, just in general, like there's no ownership for actors.
Oh, okay,
got you.
That's
not to say that actors aren't very well compensated for their job.
Sure.
But when you look around at like the really rich guys,
it's everybody on the other side.
The producers, they're the guys that have ownership in whatever it is that they're doing.
Which is that's the ballers. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, maybe they don't know who I am. I mean, some people aren't known for sure, but it's like maybe paparazzi's not chasing me, but I own
even
like 10% of this. So guess what? Yeah,
right. Exactly.
I mean, that's the dream in my mind.
Totally.
If I could do all this shit and never be recognized, sign me the fuck up for that. Yeah.
Listen, and it's nice to be recognized because people care.
Yeah. If it's an ego thing too, it's good.
But from a standpoint, and once the age gap closes, when I was 10 and the guy making all the money was 40. It didn't matter, and then
now it's kind of
the gap closes. And now you're like,
second.
wait, this guy's 10 years old, 10 years younger than me, and he
he's
made
making
fucking $50 million.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's some bullshit.
So really, that's what it.
And having a network like that, it's like it
they're gobbling these things up, But it's a lot of work.
I love that you called it
too,
Action Park too. Action Park Media.
Action Park.
I mean, that was you. Like,
yeah,
that's like
yeah,
your
yeah.
idea. I mean,
right. Did you ever go to Action Park?
I went. I want to say I went, but it was like tail end. It was like late, mid '90s.
Like, because they did like a second run. Right,
yeah, it was not the heyday. It was not the glory that it was. Did you go?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like
we were. That was the spot.
You did the fucking loops.
We would lie and say we were going to Great Adventure and we'd go to Action Park, right? So, but the funny. Did you watch the documentary about Action Park? So my brother. we setting up the company and everybody's like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't worry, we don't worry about the million things to do. The name's the easiest part.
Yeah.
And then they call like, all right, everything else is done. What do you name it? I'm like, all right, give me a day. I need to. So my brother and I were randomly talking, and he's like, I don't really feel like I got the proper credit for that day at Action Park. I'm like, what? And he told me the story. So my brother gets his car, and he's like, he just wants to drive it, right? He's 17, we're all 12, 11.
Yeah.
He takes us to Action Park. The car breaks down. The car overheats around the corner from Action Park. It pull into a Burger King parking lot, 2 miles away from Action Park. He pops the hood, and I'm sitting and I'm watching it. And like a fucking asshole, he pops the radiator cap and it fucking explodes in his face. Okay? He's got skin hanging off his face, hanging off his arms. And I was like, all right, well, let's go home. He's like, no.
We're going.
We're fucking going.
No fucking
He
way.
walked into the infirmary of Action Park, and they never asked him,
It could have been from that.
hey,
Whatever, we'll
they
treat
said,
you.
come right in. They started lathering him in bacitracin.
There was probably other people with burns, like, oh, well, he was on the fucking...
They wrapped him up like they never asked him what happened to him. They never said, where did this happen? We want to make a report of this injury
That's
for this
spectacular.
ride. His fucking skin hanging. When he got back, he was in the hospital for 2 days. That's how bad he was burnt.
But he spent the day...
They covered him in bacitracin.
Did you then do Action Park?
He sat there like a mummy, but he was like on a mission to not get beat by the radiator.
Right.
But and then
Action Park,
I was like,
man.
well, it's a good, that was a good idea. That's how I came
worked
to
out.
know. We happen to be recapping that story.
Right,
Like,
right.
Action Park, like no report. They thought that happened somewhere in the park, so let's not ask any questions. Let's just get
Brush
him in
it
here.
under the rug, be done. There's a few things in the world that like only a very small amount of people. Now maybe with the documentary, other people can relate.
Right.
But like, if you said Action Park to, 99% of the world, they don't know what it is.
Most
But
people, once
there's
in a while,
this-
people will ask.
Right, but there's this small. If you're from New York, New Jersey, tri-state area,
And you're born in the
you lived-
1800s, you would know,
you know
what Action Park
man.
is.
It's cool. And I think like naming your shit that I think shows, it's like you still got that in you, that New York
Yeah, it
in
was
you.
the
and,
fun,
like,
funner times.
And so now you're just like
great.
scooping up podcasts and trying to produce.
Yeah,
shit
we're doing.
like that.
We do the Victory podcast, which
Yeah.
is strangely like it's just people really.
Why do you
love
say
it.
strangely? We fucking
Yeah, I
talking
guess,
about.
yeah.
What did we just say like
Yeah.
2 minutes ago, man?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You belong, enjoy it,
It's-
recognize it.
It's fun, and
Yeah.
I'm a big true crime guy. You guys,
Yeah.
did you guys get in the true crime? space?
I was like sicko about it. Like when Serial first came out and like that popped it all off. I watched
That's what got me
every
into
documentary.
podcasts.
What's
right?
that?
That's what got me into podcasts.
Yeah, it started
Serial
a lot of
was
the
amazing.
podcast industry, yep. I got heavy into it. Then I think the genre took a turn where it was like everything became a fucking true crime
Right.
podcast and documentary, and some of them were like, and some things that could have been like 3 episodes were like 12,
12 episodes,
So I think people we got a little out of control with it, but any cold case or any twisty crime, I fucking love, yeah.
We did one where it was unsolved and it was in LA and we spent a bunch of money, did it, and then all of a sudden when we solved the case, I was like, yeah, we're gonna put this one on the shelf.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
Because it ain't good.
You said, like, because of how you
answers
solved it?
Yeah, the answers are not good.
No
Yeah,
way, but
yeah.
isn't that what people want, man?
I
Like,
could do
isn't
without
that-
them showing up at my office. You know what I mean? That's what I could
Yeah.
do without. You know what I mean?
But
It's-
fuck, that's...
it was pretty wild. I was like, come on.
Because I'm a slave
you go,
to like
go,
the
you
content.
build, and then you
like-
get to that name, and you're like, come on.
And you're just gonna sit on it?
I have to.
No, you
Oh,
don't.
whatever.
You could
We'll
tell
figure
it right
something
now. You could tell the world on
Tell
the
the
Kevin
world right
Clancy
now,
show.
exactly. Oh, Jesus. But they
That's
really,
fascinating, though.
they really are. They're fun, and people gobble it. People eat it up.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I would love to like pick we have a guy here, Kirk Minahan, who did that. Who he made his own series out of it, and so
Right.
I mean, you got to become a fucking
a lot of work.
journalist and an investigator and a
And that
fucking
was
police
the other thing. You
officer
go
and-
like, well, all of a sudden I'm talking to this person's relative. I'm like, am I Mike Wallace?
right,
What the fuck
right.
am I talking?
Right.
I'm not an
And you're
interview.
talking about some heavy shit, It's like
It just got real
right
in a
Real
hurry.
fast,
I'm like, oh,
yeah.
dude, well, let somebody else do this.
Damn.
I'll just pay for it.
Good for
know?
you for not watching. I want to consume this.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, why don't you just give the series to me and I'll take claim of it and they
No,
can come
you
knocking
won't.
on my door.
No, you
it's
won't.
that bad?
You will not take You will not take anything on this one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a missing persons, a murder,
No,
a rape,
it's
or what?
Couple dead people. Right.
And so aren't you like,
I never.
aren't you legally compelled to like tell somebody? Are you telling me right now you know who a murderer is and you're not saying it?
Oh no, I've said it.
You've said it
to the proper
people.
authorities.
Okay.
Right.
And did anything come of it?
Not yet.
The authorities?
No.
Holy shit,
Not yet.
man.
No. It's.
Will you tell me when it Well, you're gonna tell me when to go off camera right now. Will you tell the world when it becomes public? Where you say, I knew that.
It's one of those things.
You gotta put it out once they get caught, right?
But if they get once they're safely in jail,
Yeah,
happy to take credit for it.
For real, once they go to jail, you're gonna have a hit on your hands.
Right, but you do. What happens is and the investigator I was working with, he said, Kevin, I want to just prepare you. You seem kind of excited. We're probably not going to solve this case. You know that, right? And I'm like, well, not with that attitude, bro. We're definitely not going to solve it with that attitude. And then all of a sudden, we're like looking at each other, and then like a name, and then all of a sudden, now again, proving that
you so you cracked this,
I was way
or
too involved.
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean, like
meaning like I'm on calls, like recorded calls. And I'm like, can we edit me out? Because that's a great call. It just can't be my voice asking the question. I got so into it. And then I was like, wait a second, dude. You're a fucking actor.
Be careful here.
What do you know what I mean? Like, you're not.
Well, did you see Don't Fuck with Cats? It was
unreal.
Like crazy, and but also the way that the internet sleuths were like figuring things out, but also the police were just like doing their police work, and I think they like complimented it, you know. But like, was this like you solved this shit?
I got further than anybody else, put it that way.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, me and my partner who's
sure. But like your
he's like knocking on people's doors. I'm like, I'm going home. You just you tell me about people are wearing wires.
So what was the moment you have like a Breaking Bad when Hank like realizes he's Walter White, he's like, what the fuck? Did you have a moment like that where you're like, it's fucking Steve Harvey. He did it.
Right. But no, there's the moment of, well, then also the moral part comes in, like, who am I if the cops haven't locked this guy up, who am I to put this person on blast? What if I'm wrong?
Sure, yeah, you better be right. But then I would have the morality the other way. Like if I thought I knew for sure, I think, I do gotta. But as long as you tell the authorities you've done your shit, but like.
Right, but do you know what I'm saying? Like at a certain point, like who am I to where do I get off? Like what if we're off on a little thing? What if the guy's involved, but he's not the guy?
What if it goes to trial and we find out that something was totally wrong?
It would just be wrong.
I'm a huge believer of like, don't get in other people's shit. When it comes to like relationships, like you see somebody cheating, like, I'm not gonna get involved in that. When it comes to this like Me Too shit, the way that like people out other people or your ex or whatever, it's like, you know what? Just let people live and like do their thing. But if I got into something and did the work,
this is a cool story. Let's take it as far as we can, and that's it. And then we just got one like little step further that wasn't out there.
Was there like a piece of evidence that you got that no one else had?
Retired detective. Wow. So and then you start going like, Jesus Christ, okay, now what? Right? Because also too, the detective said his name, so legally I could. Yeah. Legally, I could do it, but it's not about legal. Like what? And it's like if they don't know all this, why isn't he arrested?
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing too, man. It's really hard to prove a lot of these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's like. But dude, let me ask you a question. Do you think if you were not already successful, money, notoriety, all that shit, do you think you would be more inclined to just put this out right now and be like, fuck it, I don't care. I would have
tied up my legal bows.
Yeah.
And probably like pass it along to somebody to see what they thought. But yeah, I just don't want that on my conscience.
Pass it on to me. I'll decide.
But either way, like we're doing a bunch of it. It's fun to do, but it's a lot of work.
A ton of work. I mean, you become a fucking journalist and a detective. It's
right,
like,
and then you also get in. You end up getting like laying in bed. Same thing.
Right.
Well, if that fingerprint,
it's heavy.
Was
your girl like, shut the fuck up, Kevin? I don't care about this anymore.
She's like, thinks it's disturbing that I listen to it when I'm sleeping.
Right.
Podcast. That's
podcast. You get into it, man.
Yeah, the true crime thing is fun. So we'll see. We got a few.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. A lot of things going
to cover. So
and you're the right. I mean, in a weird way. Kind of art imitating life, you kind of became E-esque, running, like producing and running.
Maybe that's the movie about E, a true crime. What if E becomes a true crime?
Like Vinny stopped acting, and you needed to keep.
Oh no, we said if we ever did the reboot Action Park, E runs Action Park Media, runs a podcast company for
absolutely.
Sure. Runs a podcast
that's what I mean. It's kind of real. So
right, Drama's got a podcast, right? Like it's so talk about life imitating art.
I love it, dude. All right, so I mean, anything you want to put out there for the people specifically to see, or
Yeah, no, man. It's like we've been Action Park and Victory of the Park. We're taking it. Have you ever done a live podcast?
We've done a couple.
Victory of the podcast
That will be
live.
awesome.
Will it though?
Yes.
I mean, I'm nervous to see how that's going to go.
I'm nervous every time I do it. I sweat on stage every time. I think we're bombing every time. And
people love it.
They love it.
But do you just do a show?
So my thing is,
or do you try to do interactive?
I try to give them a little bit more because I'm like, you paid money and you came out. But every time we've done like something like chintzy or a little gimmick or whatever, every time we do like a meet and greet afterwards, they're like, that was cool, but we just want to see the show.
Right, they just want to
be,
like, they want to hear the
No,
podcast.
Like,
right.
But this is also the imposter type shit where I'm like, I don't even know why you guys listen to this in the first place.
Right.
Let alone why would you come out on a Saturday night to see us? But they do and they want to. My main problem is when I'm on stage at a comedy club or whatever, I am thinking about other comics who have been up there where it's laugh, 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 laugh. And when you're in the middle of my podcast, maybe it's entertaining, but there might be like a 10-minute convo that's interesting and kind of funny, but not like laugh out loud funny.
Sebastian Maniscalco.
So now I'm on stage and it's been like minutes and no one's laughing and I'm like, fuck.
Right,
but it's like, but I know I'm doing our show and people like it, so it's a little bit of a weird thing.
I've heard that too. Like, just do your do your podcast, but live.
Yes, and I think you guys also have, the right mix of guys and personalities where you could come out and make it a spectacle.
Right.
Because I literally just walk out on stage and I'm like,
sit down.
Hey
like,
guys,
hi.
let's start the podcast. Where I wish I was like pyrotechnics and like, get the fuck up, New York City. I'm not that guy though, so.
But neither am I.
No, but you're not. But
there will be no
pyrotechnics. Kevin Dillon could.
Kevin Dillon might do a forward roll. Who knows this guy?
If he does his drama thing,
right?
Like,
if he
that works.
does a victory,
if he walks out on stage and just goes victory, and then the show
That's
starts,
a good opener.
It works every time.
That's a good opener.
I need a victory guy.
Right. You need a victory guy.
But man, it's. I mean, your career overall is an interesting one. It's a successful one. It's crazy. And yeah, I mean, you got an iconic role forever, no matter what. Like that's an amazing fucking thing. So
it's opened up doors, and listen, I got a Golden Globe nominee will be part of my
forever and ever, dude.
Nominee. You know what I mean? So it's awesome.
I love it, man. I appreciate the time.
Great. Thank you very much. It was good talking to you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks for watching. Make sure that you click that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and leave a comment below. I'll chop it up with you in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about today's episode, as well as what you want to hear in the future.